Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another BRAP. It is Wednesday, February the 7th, 2024, and we have a lot to talk about. What I think is typically a slower news cycle, and one where we would typically talk about games because there are a lot of great games coming out. We have an update on Xbox going third party. We're going to discuss whether or not consumers still want an Xbox. If some of the rumors come true that they're going to go full third party, whatever the case is, we'll find out next week. We have some comments from Phil Spencer, but with me this evening, I have two great guests here. And before we get to the guests, if you could do me a favor, smash that like button. I'm going to drop a link here in the live chat. If you could do me a solid, retweet the link or post it on Facebook or whatever you want to post it, whatever social media platform you use, just to let everyone know that we are live. So want to make the introductions here real quick. The rest of the BRAP panel will be coming here, joining us here shortly. But I want to introduce the panel. We have returning guests. It's been a long time, but somebody that I do speak to quite a bit behind the scenes. We got J-Dub. What's going on, J-Dub?
What's good, brother? What's good?
It's great to have you back, J-Dub. Great to have you back, sir.
Yes, sir. Oh, man, what a week.
Yeah, what a week, right? What a week, man. And, J-Dub, it's, I don't know, man. Like, you never expect these, like, bombs to drop, like, especially so early in the year. But here we are. So we'll definitely talk about that here shortly. Also have returning guests and someone that I co-host or I'm a panel member of, Crossfire, every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern time. We got Mooch. What's going on, Mooch?
Great. It's great, buddy. That's what it is. I'm very honored to be here tonight, especially with the great J-Dub. Listen, J-Dub is he's on a book signing. That's what you guys don't realize. It's J-Dub. It was the Xbox exit strategy book signing. I don't know what it was, Jay, but I'm glad you made it up to New York City. It's great to have you here in New York. It's going to be a good night tonight. There's a lot to talk about. And thanks for the invite, BRAP. It's nice to do a Wednesday show, and news has been breaking. I mean, I'll call it news. A lot of it's rumor and leak.
Yeah, a lot of it's
but at the same time, it is news, so we're going to talk about it. And no better time than Wednesday evening.
Absolutely. So before we get to some of the news topics, though, there was a state of play yesterday. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and I did actually download the demo. Got a chance to play a little bit last night. I haven't completed the demo just yet. But, Mooch, I know earlier I asked before we went live, you mentioned that you had not played the demo yet. But what were your impressions of the state of play?
Well, I mean, it was very, very well done. I mean, the thing that stuck out the most to me was the content, the amount of content. There's mini games within this game that could probably take as long as maybe Remake took. Yeah. They definitely are using the PS5 tech, BRAP, so that was A+.
Yep.
I've said this I haven't said it in a while, so I don't know if your audience is used to it. I'm not a huge fan of always playing demos. A demo for me is really when I want to play something when I'm on the fence. I am not on the fence for this game. I'm buying this game. It's a day one deal. It's just, it's going to get beat. I'm going to play that game. So my point being is that I don't really run to demos. Demos sometimes, and I'm not saying it for this case, I didn't play it, but demos a lot of times will ruin a game for me. And I'll give you an example. A lot of people I know everyone loves to pick on Forspoken. I played Forspoken's demo and I was kind of sour on it. I didn't really care for it. I didn't think it did a great job of showing me where they dumped you into the world. Didn't give any context to the character. When you play that the first 25, 30 minutes of Forspoken, it lets you know the character, where she came from, how she's fighting through life, how she gets into this scenario. And, I went on, shout out to Persona and shout out to Jay Barry, just doing a really good job week in and week out when they talk about their spotlight games. And that was one of the games they spotlight. And it just got me to thinking, you know what, I'm going to take a chance on this game. And I enjoyed Forspoken. I'm not telling people who are listening in the audience, it's not game of the year. It wasn't my favorite game. It wasn't in my top 3. It was a good game I played through the year. And I think the demo kind of soured a lot of people. So I don't generally flock to a lot of the demos, but in this case, I'm glad you guys did for the show's purposes. Maybe I should play a little before Crossfire tomorrow so I can talk about it. I watched the State of Play. A lot of people were saying, even online when State of Play was going live, man, you're showing a lot of content, maybe too much on the State of Play. They showed so much on the State of Play. I was already sold on it. There was not much I saw on there that I thought was going to be a bad game. People are calling it possible Game of the Year candidate. I'll say calm down there right now, but I got a feeling it's definitely going to be in contention, or at least going to be a nominee. So yeah, I did not dive into the demo. But I got to tell you, everything I've seen so far from everybody, and I think from what I heard from you guys behind the scenes, it's glorious.
Yeah, no, it definitely looks great. And I'll share my thoughts here in just a second. I'm going to go to J-Dub. J-Dub, you played the demo. Did you finish the demo? Did we lose J-Dub?
I don't know. He might be muted. Jay, are you muted?
No, he's not muted. All right, maybe we lost him. Yeah, maybe we did lose him. All right, we'll get back to J-Dub.
Well, let's hear your take on it, Brad. What did you think?
My impression. So, I don't disagree with you, Mooch. They showed a lot. They showed a lot of footage.
There's a lot.
With the State of Play, and like the mini games have like mini games, if you know what I mean. Like there's just a lot of mini games. Some of those mini games aren't games that I'm going to be interested in. Like, they did add the one like new card game that wasn't part of the original Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
But I will say this, playing the demo. Oh, we did lose J-Dub. Hopefully he rejoins.
Yes.
Playing the demo, Mooch, it was I could immediately tell the difference, visually speaking, the difference. Like there's a tangible difference between Final Fantasy VII Remake and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. You could tell they'd taken advantage of the PlayStation 5 hardware, which they talk about in the State of Play. They talked about utilizing the SSD, but like it's a beautiful looking game. The light, you can tell the lighting. That's where I saw one of the biggest improvements, just the lighting, the shadows, the details in just like the how more live the maps look, the world looks now. It's and the recreation of I forget the town that you're in, forget the name of the town that Cloud's from. It's escaping me at the moment. But the recreation of that town from the original was great. And it's just a really good looking game. And it starts you off with and if you don't want to hear how the game thank you. It's Nebelheim. Thank you, Domino Zero. And actually, I believe the retail version of the game starts off at Nebelheim. So I think this is and I could be wrong, but I believe this is the introduction of the actual full retail release. So if you play this in the demo, you won't have to play it again in the when you play the full retail version at the end of the month. But so you go to Nebelheim, you get a little backstory of Cloud's relationship with Sephiroth. For those who know, Sephiroth is the antagonist in this game. Yeah. I think he's probably the most famous antagonist of all the Final Fantasy antagonists. And there's always that debate between Final Fantasy's fans, who's the best bad guy, worst bad guy. People always go back between Sephiroth and Kefka. Kefka's probably out of all the Final Fantasy bosses, in my opinion, at least the craziest. He actually committed genocide, but that's another conversation. So it's the demo starts there, and it looks beautiful. It looks beautiful. The game looks great. Even in performance mode, there's instances where the performance mode looks a little bit washed out, but it still looks good for performance mode. And I did toggle back and forth between performance and graphics, and I can't play it on 30. It's just your
tweet. BRAP, your tweet was taken, I believe it was Paul from Red Gaming Tech. He took your tweet and said that when you made that comment about how you thought the performance mode was actually a lot better, better than you thought, and how good the game looked. He took it and he kind of quote tweeted it, which is fantastic. But yeah, did you notice anything with the load times really being significantly greater or anything like that?
No, the load times, and I can't remember because it's been so long since I last played Final Fantasy Remake, but I mean they weren't significant load times. It loaded very quickly, and again, I'll go back to the performance mode, again, there's instances where it looks a little washed out, but again, it's not like, oh my God, like this is like it's night and day between performance and graphics. I don't think it is. And I can't play it in 30 FPS moves. 60 FPS, it's buttery smooth. It seems consistent. I didn't notice any hiccups. And it still looks good. It's still a very good looking game at performance mode. And it's just, I will say this. I'm a Final Fantasy VII is one of my favorite games. It's one of those games that I'll always remember playing on the PlayStation 1. It was just one of those games that as a gamer that you always go back, remember, like, oh my gosh, I remember this game. I remember the emotion and just the connection I felt with this game. I mean, it was one of those first games that really utilized, because of the technology at the time with the PlayStation 1, kind of created this kind of this semi-open world, and had great music, soundtracks, and offered a compelling story. And this is just a great remake of the original story. And I didn't think I was going to get into this mini game, but there's a part where you go to Tifa's house, and you can actually sit on the piano and play Tifa's theme song. And those are the two, Tifa's theme song and Aerith's theme song are like to me at least the icon of theme songs into the Final Fantasy game. Aerith's theme song is my favorite, but I sat there on the piano and I probably could have played like an hour where you play her theme song, and it's a mini game. So I can't wait for the final retail release. I know it's early, and I know I haven't finished the demo. But I gotta say, Mooch, like yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Brett. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, and I know it's early, and logic gives me shit for this, but this could be the conversation for Game of the Year. It just has that feel to it. I don't know how to describe what that feel is. You know what I mean? Like, it's got the music, It's got these compelling characters. It's probably going to have a great story if you play the Final Fantasy VII remake. Rebirth seems to just build upon that, the remake, and it just seems like it's going to be a great part two.
I'm going to save my second question for J-Dub, because I believe Jay said he finished the demo, but the one thing that I really like with a game like this is I look at the calendar. I really do. I take a look at the calendar. This game comes out at the end of February. The next big game, okay, whether you're a PlayStation fan or you're just a fan of gaming overall, you've got Rise of the Ronin March 22nd. I believe Dragon's Dogma 2 is also March 22nd. We'll get into that later, where that's a bit of a bottleneck. But that gives you a full month to dive into this game that is going to take the better part of your month that you have there. So I'm really glad that you can really take the game, digest it at your own pace. And, that's one of the things we do in the community. I'm guilty too. I mean, I think we all do it. There's just, when we have game release after game release, it's like you almost feel like you're, especially if you're in the community, we feel like we kind of got to rush through the game so we can talk about them. And this is a game that I just want to take my time with. So the fact that you have, 3.5 weeks till you go into a Dragon's Dogma or you go into a Rise of the Ronin, you have time on your side. So, I mean, I don't know if that ever comes into play for you guys, especially when you're working, you got the family going, you got this, you got that, you got a lot of things going through your schedule, to have that kind of time to be able to dive into a game. Because a game like this, I could see this game. I mean, I don't even know. You guys might have the stats in front of you. BRAP, you're a stat man. But I think at the end of the day, I think this game's going to take you probably 70 hours. I bet you it's over. It's probably flirting with 100 or over 100 to platinum it. I could be wrong. If you have different numbers, I'd love to hear it. But there's just so much to do. So that's pretty cool. But Jay, how long was the demo? That's one thing I was wondering. How long did it take you? You did complete it? I thought you said. If you didn't, are you hearing how long?
I played it. I didn't complete it. I'm like freaking maybe 2 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe 2 hours. There's it's a nice little hefty. But I mean, from what those games, man, could push you into the hundreds of hours, especially with all the side quests and the extra activities like BRAP was talking about, just playing the piano and all kind of stuff. I will say this. you probably have a problem on your hand, Mooch, because you're gonna sink in 100, 120 hours into this game.
I agree.
Then you got Dragon's Dogma coming out. Then you got Rise of Ronin. Then we're gonna be on Helldivers, I think tomorrow or Friday.
That's right.
It's a lot of on top of other games that are coming out as well. It's a good problem to have, but man, I mean, I don't know why they just stack them side by side and stuff like that. So I mean, it's a good problem to have that keeps us busy, that keeps the backlog full. But this game graphically, it blew me away. I mean, I can see the next generation in it. And yes, the load times weren't that long on the previous game, or at least on the PS5, the remake that happened on the PS5 with the SSD. But this one here, you can tell everything was optimized for it. The textures, the resolution, everything is much better, and you could tell that they really built this for the PS5. I mean, it's taking full advantage, even from the haptic feedback, the 3D audio, and stuff like that. One thing I will say, the textures are just high quality. It's a night and day. If you go and play Final Fantasy VII Integrate, or just on your PS5. If you look at, like, if you get close to some of the books and some of the items, you can tell that it's low resolution. There's lower quality textures. This here is like high quality textures. I mean, you get close and it looks like a realistic book. They really put their foot in it, and that's great, right? It's a next gen only game. That's what we're looking for too. So this game will be in contention for Game of the Year. Just Final Fantasy, just that name alone will bring you in some type of contention. Even with Final Fantasy 16, which I love, that was my GOTY last year. So I mean, listen, I can't wait for the other games, but man, this game here, I mean, it's a no-brainer. It's a game that you just buy it. You just know it's going to be there. You don't have to wait for reviews. Yeah. You don't have to, there's no. But sink 40 or 50 more hours in it before it gets good. It's like, you just know it's a for sure shot game. Yeah. So you can put it next to, I'll be honest, you can launch it next to Spider-Man, you can launch it next to COD and things like that. It'll be okay. It's going to survive. It'll be okay. But because the name is behind it and the quality of work from the previous one, it stands the test of time. So the first game, I think, was in the high 80s, almost 90 Metacritic. I can see this being 92, 93 or whatever. People are going to knock it for whatever their reasons are, but the game is massive. It is massive.
Yeah, that's the other thing that we saw, J-Dub, in the state of play. Like the map is huge. Yeah. They really opened it up.
Man. Yeah, they really did. Now here's the thing. After they launched this game, just like when they did the last one, they're going to talk about part 3. They're going to give us the name of part 3 and talk about that. So I mean, Jesus. I mean, and I'm assuming part 3 is going to launch at the very tail end of this generation, or maybe the beginning of the PS6 generation. But I mean, these games, if you think about them, they're only 3 years apart.
That's right.
I mean, clearly, Square Enix, the bulk of their talent is working on this particular game, and I think that's why we won't get a what's the other game? The part 4 of it. What's the cartoon game with Mickey Mouse and Cloud? And
you're talking about
Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts 4.
Yeah.
We won't get that until Final. I honestly believe until Final Fantasy Rebirth is done. They may, once the Final Fantasy trilogy, the series is done, then they'll probably focus on that. But I don't believe that they're working on both of them at the same time.
No, I wouldn't think so either, Jay, to be honest with you.
I mean, they may or may not. They could have some like smaller development teams maybe doing some stuff with it, and then once this game ships, they could allocate those resources over to that. We'll see. But J-Dub, I mean, to your point, like it's a beautiful looking game. The combat, I love the combat of Final Fantasy VII. I'll actually toggle back between like traditional turn-based and like the action combat that they have. But the other thing I want to mention too is that, so I think somebody in the live chat asked if Final Fantasy VII Remake was in conversation for Game of the Year. It actually was. It actually got nominated
Yeah,
for
it
Keelys.
was. It was.
Yeah, so I just wouldn't surprise. And it's going to have that great musical score. Look, for me, it's going to hit the feels. When I heard Tifa's song playing, I'm like, oh man, the feels. And then if I hear Aerith's theme song, the feels. You know what I want PlayStation to do? I want them to bring back. Remember the custom backgrounds on the PlayStation 4?
The themes.
Yes. Bring that. Like bring that back. Like I had the Final Fantasy VII custom background, and every time I fired up my PlayStation 4 Pro, Aerith's theme song came on, and it was like it was. I mean, like talk about the feels and nostalgia. Like I miss that. I hope they bring it back. But
it's funny. A lot of people have been talking about that, BRAP. I see that, and every single time there's a PlayStation update, somebody says bring back the themes. The themes for PS4 were amazing. I can't. There's no rebuttal. There's no real comment. I miss them too. I think they were a stellar part of the PS4. It's interesting because there's a different dynamic, and I know that more fans would prefer the themes come back. But what they've done here is interesting as well. Each time you go to a different tile on the games, you have a different soundtrack that belongs to that game. I wish they were, if instead of a still picture, if it was an in-motion theme with the music as you went tile to tile. I don't know how they would do the themes and then leave that. I think they could do it. It would have to, if you choose that, then it would dismiss, of course, the current day version of what we have. I would elect to have the themes come back, but it would change the way that they kind of have it set up now. I think if they had, like, I just pre-ordered Helldivers 2. There's music going on that's dedicated to that game by the developers when you go over that tile, but it's just a still image. That would be really cool if it was that music when I was over that tile, and instead of the still image, it was in motion, So that would still, right? That's kind of two birds with one stone. That's getting the themes that we wanted that will always change as you go from game to game, as you go across the 11 tiles on top of your screen.
Yeah.
But it doesn't still satisfy that other need, Brett, that you were saying where you want to have like a dedicated one at all times. Yeah. But it does also make it so that the developers and Sony, the way that they envision this, it could still be the way it is, but give us that motion. Don't make it static.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I hear you, Mooch. And no, you're right about like the tiles, like each individual tile, you hear like the theme music for that particular game. And again, talk about nostalgia. When I got to the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth tile and I hear the original like intro music to the menu screen of Final Fantasy VII, oh man, the feels. But yeah, it's just something I was thinking about when I was playing the game, because I had that Final Fantasy VII remake theme, and just something that I miss. But one thing I'll say, gentlemen, is that this has been a great 2024 so far for JRPGs. We have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. We've had Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, which I picked up on PC, which cranked it up to ultra settings, 4K 60 FPS. Looks really, by the way, looks really incredible. Then there's Persona 3 Reload, which I also picked up through PC Xbox Game Pass. Or is it Microsoft Game Pass, J-Dub? I don't know. I get confused.
Breaking news.
Yeah.
Breaking news.
And then there's Yakuza. So, I mean, this has been a great year for JRPGs. Capcom's releasing Dragon's Dogma. It's not really, I think it's more of a Western type RPG, but I think it's just been a great year for JRPG so far. And, a little variety is always good, I say, for gamers. But, we talked about 2023 being a great year for gaming. I think 2024 started off pretty strong. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
It just may be a running of 2023. We just may be. This year could potentially outdo last year, which is crazy to think, right? Because last year was just so good.
Yeah, last year was good. I mean, and what's funny is that the BRAP guys are giving me a hard time because I finally got off of Baldur's Gate 3. So I'm not playing that right now. So finally, actually, it wasn't Final Fantasy VII Rebirth that got me off the demo, at least. What got me off of Baldur's Gate 3 was, and Mooch, I don't know if you know this, but I'm probably about 400 hours in the game now.
That's wild to me. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's a great game, no doubt about it. But there's so many other things. Well, I can't even comment. I can't comment because I'm actually the game I have on my back burner, not back burner, but the game I'm playing as a slow burn is Last of Us 2 Remastered. I'm playing that on grounded permadeath.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, man, that's I love that game, but you gotta love the game to play it on permadeath on grounded because that'll make your love go crazy.
Rage quit?
Yeah, man, a couple of times I did. I really did. And it's just because you play the game, even I'm playing it on grounded, like it's the permadeath that kills me because you got to do you're sometimes an hour, 2 hours back. Yeah. And it's like, I mean, a lot of people go, Mooch, you should stream it. I'm like, that's not a streaming game. That's not the way to do this. That's not man, it's just brutal. And not just that, but it could take a very long time to complete. But I'm trucking through it, man. I want those trophies. I want to have I played The Last of Us Part 1, got the platinum in that. I did not bring over my Last of Us Part 2 trophy. I did not bring my platinum over. You'll see I'll have the pictures to show you guys when I get this with the dates that are all scattered. I mean, I'm playing through this like it's my first time, even though it's my third time playing through the game. Last of Us is just something special for me. I know a lot of people, I don't know how they all felt when Neil was talking about Part 3 being a definite possibility, or basically he said that, the story's not done.
But they got the concept, which was like.
But I'm so excited. Yeah, I'm excited about that. I mean,
the
big smile on my face when they did that. That's huge. Yeah. I mean, I want to see a third. I think they can end it, and I'd be interested how they are and be prepared. Because if they did that to our buddy Joel, I don't think anybody is exempt from the chopping block. I'm sorry, I don't think so. I think
don't say Ellie gets the.
I'm not going there. No, I'm not going there. But
I'm gonna be honest. I think they got to do it, man.
What?
Team
No.
Team Abby, baby. Yeah, that's right.
Team Abby, man.
Hey, speaking of Team Abby, you know what's really disgusting is the voice actress who they interviewed for that documentary, that docuseries on The Last of Us Part 2, and she said that fans were threatening her newborn baby.
Yeah, you always got. There's sickos out there, man. So
that is just.
I'll be honest. I wish they wouldn't announce that stuff because then you're giving the morons the glory, right? Because they're gonna get to read the paper and in the blogs what they did. You just gotta block people and move on. I hate that they're getting that, but don't give them the attention that they seek.
Yeah, I don't disagree, J-Dub. I don't. It's just sickening, and I don't understand why people behave like Neanderthals when it comes to video games. Not all people, I should say. Not all gamers act that way. But this is supposed to be entertainment. For people to it's just really you're gonna threaten a newborn baby? That's some low life level scumball shit. That is just that's just terrible. That, yeah. But well, gentlemen, let me grab some super chats here. Let's see here. I think I'm behind in super chats. We got Grizzly Bear King with a $10 super chat. Says, BRAP, truly appreciate your takes because of how genuinely data-driven you are, but I vehemently disagree that PlayStation and Xbox absence becomes complacent. Truly don't see much data backing this up. Love the show, dude. We'll talk about that here to say. J-Dub and I had a conversation about this morning.
Yeah,
we'll definitely talk about that. Someone said, I think it was Andy Robinson, who writes for VGC, said that Sony's complacent right now. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that take per se. I mean, I could kind of see why somebody might make that argument, but we'll talk about
people are saying that because people are just saying that because they're dominating and they haven't shown their full hands of their first party. That's it. Yeah, that's just what it is. But guess what? When you got the third party that they have and the second party games that they have, dude, let your first party cook. You don't have to put your starters in the game for the whole game. You don't have to mash the gas all the way. Now, of course, I'm looking forward to all of those first party games, from Guerrilla Games, Sucker Punch, and all that. Of course, I am. But they've proven from their previous games they know what they're doing, and we know that things got shifted behind because of COVID. But let them cook. And it's not like you're sitting around, oh man, it's dry out here in the street. Me and Moose just spent 10 minutes talking about how there's too many games launching already in the first 3 months of this year. Like, how are we going to get Final Fantasy, Rebirth in?
Yeah, let me tell you, gamers are eating well right now. We are eating very well. I mean, think about what we're getting in the first 3 months. It's insane. Like, what am I going to play? Dragon's Dogma, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I still need to play Grand Blue Fantasy Reeling, Persona 3 Reload. I want to play Like a Dragon at some point. Like, I don't like.
Well, I was BRAP. Me and you were talking about this. I even said to BRAP. I think it was before. I might have been live on Crossfire, or I said it before we went live. Like, the reason I have a problem with Andy's comment is I understand that, and things can kind of get a bit haywire if competition is lacking. Like, you could see prices go out of whack. Maybe you could see them. Take a little bit more of a break between first-party games. But
give us a food.
But the thing is, it's funny. I'm usually more hungry while I'm podcasting. But no, I got to tell you though, Brad, it's the reason I don't think they'd be complacent is, and Sony is heavily reliant on the PlayStation brand.
Yes,
it's a large, right, Jay? It's part of their bread and butter of the organization. So for them to rest and relax and be like, we don't have anything. Listen, that just makes them less money in the end, right? You want to put out those bangers. You want to have a Spider-Man 2. You want to have a Last of Us 3. You want to have Sucker Punch's next game. You want to have Cory Balrog's next big game. You want to sell those similar, you want to have those 5, 10, 15 million, 20 million in sales to make that. You have to keep the lights out. You can't just have, these easy come, lately kind of games just popping up on your platform. You have to have something steady, and PlayStation is Sony's very reliant on the money that PlayStation makes. So I don't see the quality dipping at all. And I said this on Crossfire. A lot of people, you have to understand, legitimately, if Xbox does go predominantly third party, I don't think Xbox is leaving by any means. Whatever we find out next week, they're still going to have another console, I believe. I do think they're going to go and put a lot of their games on PlayStation and Nintendo. But that still does open it. But it opens an avenue, right? It opens an avenue. So there could be another company that comes in, an Apple. Heck, look at Disney today. Disney going in with $1.5 billion with Epic Games. And would they want to get into it if they start making money? Who knows? Hey,
just I don't want to interrupt, but I do want to just cover that real quick, because that was actually pretty big news announcement. I don't know how many people paid attention to it.
Yeah,
but that's pretty big. I mean, so this is a major collaboration. Disney's investment is a major collaboration with Fortnite. We talk about the metaverse. I mean, I think you look at what Tim Sweeney's doing. We talk about the metaverse, and you look at what Tim Sweeney's done with Fortnite. That and bringing Lego Fortnite, I think, is the more recent thing they did with it. Yeah, and this really kind of marks Disney's I think biggest entry into video games. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe this is something Disney's been looking at. I mean, I know they license out some of the Star Wars stuff to developers to make video games, but this is a pretty big investment into a video game publisher from Disney. But yeah, I'm sorry, Butch, go ahead.
No, I mean, but that's what I'm saying. It kind of leaves that door open, right? So if Xbox does exit that platform, not that anybody would be chomping at the bit to jump in. I'm not even saying that. Mm-hmm. And again, I don't think is just disappearing by no means. I just think that when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, I don't think you can ever did Sony did Nintendo take their foot off the gas at all during this Switch generation? No, I mean they've been killing it month after month on hardware, on software. And Sony,
it's fear mongering, Mooch. It's fear mongering.
It is. Yeah.
Well,
it really is.
Yeah, we'll get into that here in a little bit, because I have seen some people that say they're going to raise price to $1,000, but we'll get to that in just a second here. Let me grab some other super chats. Vicious Lord 66 with a $5 super chat says, "I got the collector's edition for Rebirth. Can't wait for release. Shout out to the panel. Thank you, Vicious Lord, for that super chat. You know what? I somehow missed the pre-order for the collector's edition. I need to make a phone call to Forte. I might have to get him, see if he gets extra copies, he can send me one. By the way, we have 245 people watching. Please hit that like button if you haven't done so already. Helps out the channel if you're new. Consider subscribing. Hitting the bell notifications so you're alerted when we go live. Also, I have a super chat from Review Scientology USA. That's an interesting handle there. The $2 super chat says, excited to see some Concord gameplay next PlayStation event. Thank you for that super chat. So, Craig Baker says FTC files complaint against Microsoft over Activision Blizzard's layoffs. I was going to talk about that too, but we'll get to that here shortly. So, I do want to move on to all things Xbox right now. So, as we all know, there was a article that went out this Sunday, and Jado, I got to say this it was funny sharing this particular article with you because I was like, I think I called you. I was like, J-Dub, did you hear it? You were sleeping, I think, right?
Yeah.
You wake up to
Dude,
the internet burning down, right?
Yep. I said, what?
Yeah. So we and I did do a podcast on Sunday night discussing this, but they are rumors, speculation out there, reports from insiders that Microsoft will be bringing Starfield to the PlayStation 5. There was also rumblings of other games like Hi-Fi Rush coming to PlayStation and Nintendo Switch, and now we're hearing there could be more games coming to PlayStation and Nintendo Switch. And this thing has got so much traction that Phil Spencer on Twitter came out and said, hey, we're listening and we hear you. We've been planning a business update event for next week. We look forward to sharing more details with you about our vision for the future of Xbox. Stay tuned. So this is the first time that I've ever seen Phil or Xbox use an Xbox-related event as a business update event. Okay, and they haven't denied any of the rumors that are going out that Starfield, Indiana Jones, other first-party Xbox titles that are consideration to be PlayStation 5 ports. And this is really set the internet on fire. I mean, we were just in a Spaces J-Dub with Tim Dog this evening. Tim Dog kind of expressed his frustration and disappointment with really what's been a change of messaging, which seems to happen like every couple of years with Microsoft. And I said this in his Spaces. I'm like, when I think about PlayStation and Nintendo, like we don't have these conversations. We don't. I mean, when do we question what Sony or Nintendo are doing? We just don't have these conversations and this dialogue about, they're pivoting. What does this mean? What does that mean? Is this
BRAP, I know the question's for Jay, and I want to hear Jay's answer. Just to answer you real quick, just top level, and I want to hear Jay's answer. Is what we just said. Gaming is the bread and butter for Sony and for Nintendo. Like they just can't step back and rest. Like we had a number of people on the panel over the years telling us, don't worry, Mooch. Game Pass, they're in it for the long haul. They've got money. It's a lost leader right now. They're dumping money into it to get people to come over. Don't worry about it. This is what their plan is. So Microsoft definitely has money. Microsoft definitely has other strategies and other departments that make them a ton of revenue and profit. So yes, they can. But the thing when it comes down to it, the reason any good business puts out quality product and has people continuously in line for that product is because they know what their bread and butter is. And I think when it comes down to it, Microsoft, and whether these rumors are true, if it becomes Microsoft Gaming, I mean, we're not going to run with that right now. But I mean, the point of the matter is that that's Xbox and gaming is not necessarily what keeps the lights on for Microsoft. We all know that. So when you say, how is it that Sony and Nintendo have been able to do this? It's because it's their blood, sweat, and tears. And if either of those, if Nintendo makes awful games for 5 years in a row or doesn't output the way that the consumer base expects, and they'll go out of business. They won't make it. They just push very hard. It's the same thing here with Sony. People say, we get into this first party debate all the time on these podcasts. But when it comes down to it, here is the beginning of the year, outside of The Last of Us Part 2 remaster, which I won't even count because nobody wants to count that. Okay? But you've got Sony says, our first party's not ready. That's fine. Okay? That's fine. Take Helldivers 2. take Stellar Blade, take Rise of the Ronin. You know, and honestly, I know everyone's going to laugh, but they can laugh all they want. But there is going to be a user base that's going to enjoy Foam Stars with your PS Plus subscription base. Like, so they keep the consumer, even when they are technically in a lull, they keep the consumer happy, satisfied, and they're all different types of genres, right? You've got a shooter, you know, you've got a kind of like a Devil May Cry meets trying to think of another analogy here for like Stellar Blade that has that kind of combat, that melee combat that's going to be just amazing. You've got Rise of the Ronin that hits that Sekiro itch, right? Or Sekiro, pardon me. And it's like they have something there for kind of everybody. So that's what you do when you're in your lull state, you know. And if this is if this is the slow state, I can't wait to see what the big first party company, or pardon me, devs are working on right now. But Jay, I apologize. I shouldn't take the mic away from you. I just think that's, you know, when it comes down to it, Jay, business is business. And when you're hungry, you're successful because you put your blood, sweat, and tears into it, Jay.
Absolutely. No, I totally agree. Again, here's the difference, right? Nintendo and Sony, they're bread and butter, right? Pretty much get the bulk of their money from these consoles. They can't sit back and be complacent. They have no choice but to go out. This is why we're hearing about them making another handheld, right? Another secondary handheld, which is a native. We know about the PlayStation 5 Pro and all of this stuff. They're investing in their ecosystem for you to play. They invest in VR. They invest in all these earbuds, headphones, headsets, all controllers, and all of this stuff. And guess what? They don't have a fraction of the money that Microsoft has. Neither one of them, right? And so there's this fear that, well, if Xbox goes away, then Sony, right, the big bad wolf, is going to jack up prices to $1,000 and all kind of crazy crap. Those, I'm telling you, that kind of thinking, it's just fear mongering. There's no data behind it. There's no nothing. It's like Sony got blamed for having $70 games, even though they weren't the first ones with it. Right? It was EA and Take-Two. They were the first ones with $70. But nobody said anything about them, right? It was only when Sony decided to have their game $70 is the problem. And you know what? I can't be mad at it. That's the price to pay when you're first place in something, right? You people always look for the negative. It's just like Apple, right? When everyone when they came out with their Vision Pro and stuff, it's $3,500, blah blah blah. Yeah, that's just the price to pay when you're successful with something. Yeah. The price to pay is people look forward to knock you down and for you to fall off the ladder. That's just what it is. And sometimes you're up top, sometimes you fall. That's just what it is. Listen, Sony, they could have got complacent in the PS3 era and gave up, right? Kind of like what Microsoft did last generation. They could have gave up, but what happened? They said, nope, we're going to double down on some games. We're going to drop the price. We're going to make a PS3 Slim. We're going to do what we can.
They did get a little complacent in the beginning, telling us to get second jobs, though.
Well, I don't think that was complacent. I just think that there was
that was their hubris.
That's not complacency, right?
No, that was their hubris.
If it was complacency, yeah, exactly. But the complacency, I mean, I'll be honest. If you want to be honest, nobody knocks Nintendo for being complacent with. They're just. We just saw Pal Worlds came out, right? Pretty much a clone of Pokemon, but it had things that people wanted Nintendo to have. Like Nintendo been having this IP for all these years, and they just give you the same rehashed crap. And of course they get some flack for it, but they're able to charge you $70 for that crap, and nobody really makes a big stink about that. And so now people were hoping, well, hopefully Power World will push Nintendo to go and do this into their Pokemon games and make something that people really want. And guess what? Nintendo might be like, we don't care, and keep dropping the same stuff, right? Nintendo never put their games on sale, right? Zelda Breath of the Wild is still the same price it was freaking 10 years ago. It just is what it is. But it's kind of like when Xbox does something or Sony does something, the magnifying glass is just out, right? Everyone is just people have their favorites. And like I said, Sony can't try that people, are poking holes in their stuff. It's like, hey, when you're first place, people look forward to taking the first place champion down, right? That's why they have to double down and triple down on what they're doing that made them successful last generation in the PS4 era. And so far, they've been doing that. Therefore, they're exceeding the PS4 generation in sales and things like that. So, I mean, hey, it is what it is. But you're going to get people saying that, hey, listen, technically, Microsoft in gaming hasn't competed with Nintendo or Sony since the 360 era, right? And even then, the only way that they was able to be, even in the running to be able to be competition is because Sony fell so hard in the beginning, right? With a $600 console coming out a year later and blah blah blah. It's like, it is what it is. I'm not worried about them jacking games up. We had this poll, Enrique and Mooch, happened a couple of months ago when Take-Two, when Rockstar came out and showed us the trailer, before they showed us the trailer of Grand Theft Auto 6. And everyone across the board said there was a rumor that they're going to charge $150 for the game. And guess what? 90% of people say, yeah, I'll pay $150 for it. They don't care because people will spend money on things that they find value in. And at the end of the day, that's really what it boils down to.
Yeah. No,
that's really what it boils down to.
I don't disagree with that last part, Jade. I think the only part that I was, saying is that, and there's been studies on this, the Council of Economic Advisors. I think this was under the Obama administration had conducted a study, and they said, look, when there's little, like they say, there's little no competition in a particular market, consumers could face the possibility of increased prices. And
shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But it's something that it's a reality. It's something that could happen. And so what I said to people is let's not celebrate maybe the Xbox leaving the high end console space because then you only have one player. And do we really want only one player in the market space that can pretty much go unchecked with no other option to consumers to go take their business elsewhere? I don't necessarily think that's a great thing.
I don't think anyone's cheering for it, but what it is, and I'll be honest,
Jim, there's people cheering for it.
If you're not, but check it out.
Yeah.
If you're not, think about it. Microsoft, the world's richest company, right? They just became the world's richest company 2 months ago, or the beginning of this year. Nobody's screaming and crying, oh my God, how dare, why do they have a monopoly on the industry where they become the world's richest company, right? Nobody's crying for that. But let a little video game company that gets the bulk of its money from selling consoles, right, and selling games and accessories, God forbid that somebody don't want to compete with them or can't compete with them. God forbid those people go away, and all of a sudden the big bad guy, Microsoft, is worth $3 trillion. They could do 1 million times more damage than Sony could ever do. The worst thing Sony could do is make, is cancel factions, right? I mean, that was the big talk of last year, right? Canceling the factions. So, I mean, come on. I think it's just overplaying it. They don't even have the position to even do that. They couldn't dare raise their price because guess what? The less people will buy it, the less money they would have, and clearly that keeps them up at night. According to Jim Ryan, what keeps them up at night is making sure that they don't make the same mistake that they made in the PS3 era. So until they show us some reason, right? Until they show us some reason to be fearful or scared or whatever, it's a nothing burger. And I just think, again, I know I don't want Xbox to go away, but guess what? That's Satya's decision. That's not the gamers' decision. The gamers have spoken.
But the reality, though, is that the markets are better when there's more competition in the space. And that's
I agree. But guess what?
And again,
like when Sega left, what happened when Sega left?
And I'm not
someone else will step in.
And I'm not saying that. Sony's going to go bonkers here and raise the price of PlayStation 5 by $1,000. But what I'm saying is there's, as an organization, look, they're driven by money, and if the demand signal's high enough and there's no other options in the marketplace, we see this with other manufacturers, other companies, they will raise prices. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's gonna go up $1,000.
How can we say there's no competition though? How can you say there's no competition? You got clearly you're discounting Nintendo.
Well, yeah,
which technically is the leader in gaming, right?
No,
and then you're discounting the PC market, which you're a part of, right?
Well, I'm absolutely discounting those markets because there's market stratification within the gaming industry. Like Nintendo doesn't cater. Nintendo's experience isn't commensurate with PlayStation or Xbox. Like you're not buying a Nintendo Switch and getting VRR or ray tracing or AAA type experiences. That console,
but that's still dollars, right? We're talking about dollars. That's every Nintendo Switch you buy is one less PS5 you buy. That's one less accessory you buy.
That's not necessarily true because they again, market stratification. They're catered to different consumer bases who have different requirements.
Are you basing this off of the fact that if Xbox was to not exist as a platform?
Yeah, if the hardware went away, that's all I'm saying. If the hardware went away.
Well,
Xbox hardware went away.
You would think that Sony has a possibility of raising the price of their hardware. You're saying?
They could do hardware games. I mean, I look at it
like this. Can I just BRAP? You used a good example. You called it complacency when it was more of like they were getting a little too cocky, like they were saying, right? You know, my point is this:
the PlayStation 3,
with the PS3. Hear me out, though. It's the market will always fixate and determine worth, right? So I'll give you an example. You have a home, all right? You have the right. You can call your local realtor and you can say to them, I want to place my house in the market for $2.3 million. They'll be like, what? You'll be like, yes, I would like to place the house for sale for $2.3 million. You can ask anything you want. But that does not mean you're going to have a line of buyers or a single buyer for your home. So you are right. They may come out the gate. They have the right to come out the gate, and they can say PS6 is going to be $850. Let me tell you something, my friend. They are going to look at their PS4 numbers for the first 3 months of sales between, let's say it's October and December. They're going to look at PS5 sales, and they are going to see one drastic drop if they're not pricing accordingly. The market will settle that issue. Now, it'll take time, but it'll happen.
I don't disagree with that because that's what happened with the PlayStation 3, that they did that.
Right.
But my point is this, again, it goes back to this point is that laws of economics, less competition in the marketplace tends to lead to higher prices for consumers. I'm not saying that they're going to go $800 on the PlayStation, but if you look at like what they're doing now, right? They raised the price of the PlayStation Digital by $50, right? The Slim. What used to be a free accessory included in the box is now a $25 add-on with a stand. You know, I'm willing to bet that if Xbox was a more viable contender and they were neck and neck, you probably wouldn't see Sony take those $50 increases on their platforms and with the digital platform, or charge the $25 for the stand. So again, I'm not saying that they're gonna raise the price of the console to $1,000. I'm just saying that when the reality is when there's less competition in the market and people are championing the demise of Xbox hardware, I'm like, hey, let's not champion less competition in the marketplace because that typically doesn't work well for consumers as it relates to pricing. Now, I don't disagree with you. Yeah, if they charge too much, there's going to be a price correction. The market will say, no, we're not paying for that. Like they may price some people out of the market, and those people will have to take their business elsewhere. And that may be too much too big of a pill for Sony to swallow. And they could pivot and just say, okay, we're not doing that. I don't think they will. I don't think they'll make that mistake. But again, my point is less competition in the space, potentially higher prices, maybe necessarily good for consumers. And again, I know a lot of people brought up, because I had this conversation on Twitter. A lot of people are like, oh, well, what about Nintendo? Like, well, Nintendo is not, again, they cater to a different consumer demographic. Yeah. Same thing with PC. PC people aren't necessarily, except for us, because we're, different, but people on the PC space, most of them aren't really buying consoles. They're more the high end, enthusiast gamer who likes to spend $2,000, $3,000 on hardware. So a different market.
Well, Yeah, I mean, it's there's a market for everything, and like you talked about the stand, the PS5 stand or whatever, because they charging $25 for or whatever. Here's the thing: if you don't want to buy it, you don't have to buy it. That's the option. Nobody's
Yeah.
forcing it on you.
Yeah.
This is why I understand, right? All this stuff is optional. Like I brought the headset. Apple is charging $3,500 for a VR/AR headset. Guess what? Those things are sold out.
Yep.
You can't. Nobody's putting a gun to your head. And guess what? Apple's another $3 trillion company, just like Microsoft, right? I don't just. Why is this fear? Because one company failed in something. It's like, oh my! Like, what is Sony supposed to do? Go and help them just so people can feel comfortable and relaxed?
BRAP.
Like, I just
Jay makes a good point. BRAP, you make this point.
Yeah, but go ahead.
BRAP, you make this point all the time, though.
Mm-hmm.
You say all the time. You say for some reason the mindset in the gaming industry is not the same against any other product on the open market. Like Jay just said himself. I know a lot of people listening to your show and listening later have a Keurig, right? You know, or the cups there to make your coffee. Well, I don't know if you guys have ever owned one of those, but if you go to Amazon and while you're listening to this great show, well, great. If you go to Amazon, right underneath that, it says items that go along with this product. One of them is a stand. It puts the Keurig on a stand, and then it has a basket tray that holds all the cups and holds stirrers, and it holds, you know, my point being is you don't need the stand. You can just buy the Keurig. So when you see people say, I can't believe this, Sony's charging $30 for a stand. They've got this extra part for their accessories. The PSVR 2. You don't need that to enjoy your PS5. If you want it, you can pay for it, and then you'll be able to enjoy services that go along with that product, along with your PS5. But there's nothing making you buy these products. It's only in this particular category, in this particular realm that we're all in, where somebody says, hey, I'm going to make a product. Everybody was really down on the Portal. That's a great little device for $199. Now, I know that Microsoft and Xbox Microsoft, Xbox, and Sony are looking into dedicated handhelds moving forward. Both of them are, which will probably play native. But hear me out. Those are going to be anywhere from $400 to $600 a piece. And if you don't believe me, just take a look at your favorite ROG Ally or your favorite Steam Deck. So those are going to be expensive units. Now, if Sony came out with a dedicated native playing hardware handheld, they would have absolutely been destroyed by the gaming media. Who's paying $500? $550 for VR? $500 for a PS Vita 2? $500 for a PS5? I'll go buy a PC. Right? So you'll get all that kind of nonsense. So my point being is that this was a $199 product. Real nice for under the tree. Anyone who has a PS5, you throw them a $199. Listen, I got news for you. You guys all went through Christmas like I did. God forbid you even want to buy someone you know a pair of sneakers. A nice pair of sneakers, almost $200.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm just trying to say, like, when it comes down to it, this is the craziness that we hear in only this market. It doesn't happen in other markets. Nobody gets mad at Keurig for making a stand, and they certainly aren't upset that they have to pay for it. Who would have thought buying a machine that makes coffee would all of a sudden include a stand that holds coffee? You know, when you bought your napkin holder, did it come with a lifetime supply of napkins?
Nope.
Why not? That's what the holder's for, right? I mean, what are we talking about? That's what I'm going on here.
The analogy with the stand mooch is that it was something that PlayStation offered for free, took that away, and then charged you for it. That's that. So the Keurig example you mentioned.
They still gave you a stand.
Hold on, but imagine if Keurig. But they're charging you for it now. They used to be free. But imagine,
no. If you bought a Slim, it still comes with a stand. It's just it comes with the horizontal stand. It just doesn't come with the vertical stand.
Yeah, I'm talking about the the PlayStation. The previous PlayStation gave you the vertical stand for free. It was included.
Okay. Well, let me ask you, Brap, can I ask you a question from a technical standpoint? I thought that the Slim could stand vertical without the stand. Is that
Okay.
not true? I'm asking.
I don't know. I wouldn't do it, but maybe
Of course, I got it.
you
I
have
got it.
stand. Okay.
I got a Slim. I got two. Yeah.
All right. But the point is,
I don't know. I was asking that. That's a question.
I don't have a stand. It's just again, these things are optional, right? If you have a Slim,
I understand.
it actually comes with a horizontal stand. So when people say it doesn't, like,
no, I understand. Look,
like,
I understand it's
it.
optional, but what I'm saying is it used to be something that was included, that was made optional through.
No, it had a piece of plastic that'll allow you to do vertical and horizontal. Well, now this one allows you to do horizontal because the system is so small and slim.
But
you can turn it vertical and it's fine.
Is,
but if you, for those that want it, it's optional. But I get it. It's not.
The point is, it was optional anyway when they sold you the console for the first time. But you could
exactly.
And you had the choice to do it vertical. Now, if you want to do vertical, you got to pay for it. That's my point. Like they gave you something for free initially. They've taken that away and now are charging you for it.
Oh my God, Enrique, is just like I get what you're saying, Enrique, but dude, this is super reach. So I mean, because Microsoft failed in gaming, but this company decided not to include a vertical stand.
Jada. What I'm saying is, what I'm talking about is that things that companies do, like this, that was just one example. The stand, them doing the stand has nothing to do with Microsoft. What I'm saying is, and the point of the discussion with competition in the marketplace is that the reality matters when you have less competition in the marketplace, things tend not to benefit consumers. We tend to get higher pricing. That this isn't just the gaming industry; it's in other industries. We've seen it before.
But like you said, 10. You said 10, meaning there's a capability. Guess what? There's a capability. When I wake up in the morning, I walk outside. I can get hit by a lightning bolt.
I get that, but the reality is, it does tend to happen more often than not, and the gaming industry isn't immune to that. It is immune to the laws of economics.
More often than not, I can say no. I don't want.
And that's fine.
Or I don't want this. Don't buy it.
But understand that there's people that are going to want that stuff.
BRAP,
and there's an option for them to spend $25
but again, understand that there's people that are going to want those things.
All companies, though, BRAP, are starting to do this downsizing in the product space. Hear me out. When you first bought your iPhone or your favorite Samsung back in the day, it came with the block, it came with the cord, it came with the pair of headphones. Now it comes with a phone and a thank you note from Tim Cook.
Because you have consolidation in that space, but go ahead.
No, well, I mean that's fine.
You got Android.
It's happening.
There's a million different phones you can buy.
You have like what, 2 players?
No. You do you know the different variety of phones that you can have from millions of companies? You can get a phone from Samsung, LG, Apple.
1, 2,
you can
3.
get a phone. There's a million different companies for phone. What's the million? Other? There's dude. All you got to do, look. I mean, I have an Apple, right?
J-Dub.
I have an Apple.
J-Dub.
I got a friend that has an LG.
There's LG. There's Samsung. There's Apple. Who else is making phones?
Okay, Enrique. I mean, seriously? You know how many phone manufacturers there are?
I mean, how many?
I mean, literally.
I'm asking you.
There's. Oh, okay. Hold on one second. Let me show you. There's Samsung, LG, Xiaomi. We already know that. That's more in the European market. We got Google with there. They got the OnePlus. We got Huawei, Motorola. We got you got Oppo. I mean, she even got Sony in the market. Like, come on, what are we doing here? Is
Sony still making phones?
Yes. They still make their phones. They're high end phones and Lenovo.
Okay.
What are we doing?
All right. Well, my point is this. Look,
you're taking this consolidated, the bad guy of what could be, and you're throwing it on one player because the other person failed.
It's not about because that's the reality when one person fails. That is a. But that's not our making. We can't help that. Gamers decided not to buy an Xbox. No one is saying that it's anyone's fault. Like, obviously that falls on Microsoft. But my point is this: that everyone pom-pomming the failure of Xbox, having one competitor in the space doesn't benefit consumers. Competition is always better for consumers. We talk about mass consolidation in the gaming industry.
We've always had it. As long as we have Nintendo and Sony, we'll be okay. Because prior to Xbox, Microsoft getting into gaming, guess what?
Different markets, different market stratification, different consumers. They're not the same thing. Those two things are not commensurate with one another. It's Nintendo and Sony. They're just not. So, all right, let's move on because I agree to disagree here.
Yeah.
I gotta get some super chat. Jim Crine says next topic. Let's talk Xbox going third party. All right, but let me get some super chats here real quick because we got a couple of super chats here. JD Gamer with a $10 super chat says, actually, he says, I can't read this. He says, I don't expect the move they're making is to discontinue Xbox console. The business problem with that is that they must give up billions that they make off of all third-party games on Xbox. Now, I know, JD, we were in the space with Tim Dog. I know there was a kind of a concern about Xbox. If they go full third party, like what does that mean for the console? Do you think, J-Dub, that they're gonna? I mean, you think they're gonna get out the console space anytime soon? Like, what do you think? Like, because again, none of us really know what the pivot's gonna be. We won't know until Monday, right? But what do you think could be? We're just spitballing here. What do you think what do you think they're going to announce on Monday, and how do you think it might impact the Xbox hardware?
I think eventually they'll get out of the hardware space. Whether it'll be Monday or not, I have no clue. Well, clearly they'll have to finish out this generation, and even if they decided to continue to next generation, it won't be the same. It won't be the traditional type system. It'll be something cheap just to kind of keep you going because they technically really don't care anymore. They don't make any money on the hardware, and it's just one drag me down division from that. So what I think they're going to do, I think they're going to go ahead and announce they're going to put games in and everywhere. They're going to come out with some kind of fluff excuse and reason on why they have to do it. They're going to scale back on Game Pass. They're going to try to fluff it up. They'll probably announce, yeah, we got some refreshes of the Series S and X coming, some slimmer models and things like that. But by the time they get to that hardware, they would have already basically killed those consoles by saying, well, we're going to put our games elsewhere. So those systems, when they come out, they won't sell. Nobody would care at that point in time. And then eventually, once the things is dried up from that point, it's really going to be up to whether Nintendo and Sony gamers actually decide to partake in buying their games that they offer those platforms. If they offer those games to Nintendo and Sony and the gamers don't buy them, then they have no other recourse but to close up shop, which technically they would just sell it off to another company. They would, trust me, they would make money. They'll make money. They'll make money whether they stay in gaming or not. The problem is they're one of the largest third-party publishers as we speak right now because they bought ABK and ZeniMax. Yeah. So they'll be in it for the long. They'll make money. And guess what? PlayStation gamers will buy those games because we'll still buy COD, we'll still buy Diablo and stuff. So there's still enough room to make money, but they're definitely going to scale back on the stuff that don't sell well. You will see that becoming less and less until they get to the point like EA where hey, you got your Maddens, you got your Maddens, you got your FIFAs and stuff that's just really the bread and butter. And then every now and then they'll dabble and do some of the other third party stuff that they'll publish. But other than that, but the flip side, there is a potential that PlayStation and Nintendo games show up in droves and buy those games that Microsoft offer that will give them a new resurgence in cash flow and they'll say, hey, we made the right decision by doing it. So we don't know how this thing is going to play out. That's what is going to be interesting. The end question mark doesn't end Monday what they announce. It ends.
Wait, so Deb, you think there's
months and years from there?
You think there's going to be more questions after the event? Like people are like, wait a minute, like they were a little bit too vague.
Oh, without a doubt. That's what they do. It's in their DNA. It's in their blood. They're not going to be straightforward with you. But to be fair, that's most corporations are not, right? They'll come out there, they'll fluff it up, they'll try to spin it and make it like, yeah, we're going to do this, but in reverse, we're going to do this, and they're going to show hardware, and some people are going to be oohing and eyeing, and they're trying to make you forget about the fact that you just done lost all your games to the competition, even though in the courthouse of the FTC and the CMA and stuff like that, they said, well, Sony, they takes a 30%. They take a 30% cut, and they take that 30% and spend it in against us, and get cut deals and stuff that block us out. That which will basically make them flip floppers and liars that we know they are. But guess what? It is what it is, right? So I think there's a possibility they're going to announce, because of the leaks, they might as well go ahead and announce the Series X all digital. They may have some kind of streaming stick or a slim, even more smaller Series S console. But again, those are effectively going to be dead because they're going to say, hey, you no longer have exclusives, or your exclusives are going to be timed exclusives, which technically is the same fucking thing. If you're losing your games to somebody else, it doesn't matter. You might as well buy a PS5 or a Switch and then just have this one console that does everything versus having to spend more and more hardware. So they're in a pretty pickle. They're a pretty bad pickle. But from what I'm hearing, somebody just mismanaged and miscalculated the amount of money that the ABK and their financials, and the fact that I think like what Tim was saying.
That's what Tim was saying on the Spaces.
Xbox division on its own, without all that other stuff, its own. Wasn't doing so well, and they somebody was fluffing some numbers, and myself and Mooch have been saying this for a couple of years. The fact that Microsoft is not straightforward with their numbers, they're not straightforward with certain things. They went from sales and exclusives matter to it don't matter to its engagements to when the engagements didn't matter, then it became it's all they're always
J-Dub, it was remember, it was the new way, it was the new metric.
Yep. Oh, the industry's going this way, right? That's what they like to say. The industry, it's no longer about just buying a game one time at $70. It's about keeping them going. And when Game Pass didn't, we haven't. It's been 3 years since we got updated Game Pass numbers. That tells you what it's doing. So
yeah, it's interesting. What's interesting, Jeb? You mentioned like they would, and there's we talked about this in the Spaces that maybe they tease some kind of hardware. The leak, there was that Series X all digital. Maybe that's something they talked about. Tim saying that, hey, he's heard from Phil that there's going to be good things that people like. There's going to be some, like, what do you say, something good? Something's good and some things that people won't like. But with the marketing, if they do bring more games third party, you said something like they're going to let people know that their games are available elsewhere. That's and I'm still trying to wrap my mind around this. Like, how do you, like, there's got to be something to entice people to buy the hardware, and that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, what's the selling point? Is it still Game Pass? Is like, hey, you know what? Yeah, our games are going to go third party per se. Maybe not all of them. Maybe not the full slate. But hey, yeah, you could pay them on PlayStation. It costs you $70. But if you get the Xbox, we got this thing called Game Pass. You can get the games, quote unquote, for free. I mean, like that's the only way that I think that they could market some kind of differentiator and maybe entice people to come to the ecosystem. I mean, I can't think of anything else, J-Dub. Can you? Like,
they know they can't. They know they know the minute they announce the exclusives are no longer exclusive and they're multi-plats, the hardware is dead already, right? Prior to that. No, I mean the consoles were going for $349 and $139, literally, and nobody bought it this holiday season.
No, that
led to where we are now.
Well, that's a great point, J-Dub. Like we were talking about during the holidays. Like I remember we were talking. We're like, are they going to be able to move units? Like even at this price point, like it's going to be kind of interesting. And like again, like the market was like, no, we want PlayStation. We don't really want Xbox.
Gamers, and I've been saying this for a while, gamers have spoken. People act like there's something that Microsoft can do that's just magically going to. It's like people have spoken. These consoles have been out for 3-4 years, and even prior to that, gamers have spoken. It's just, it is what it is. These two, you have not only one, but two current generation consoles, and people are just not buying them in any large numbers. They're non-existent outside of the US, and even in the US you're getting beaten by 5-6 million. It's just listen, from what we heard, there may be a rebranding. There may be the Xbox name itself could be just dead, because I understand that would be a smart move. It's just the name Xbox just doesn't resonate with anybody anymore.
I can't fathom that, J-Dub. I don't like the idea of Microsoft.
Why not?
But go ahead, man. Go ahead.
They've given up Cortana. They've given up. I mean, Halo is at the lowest point, right? Hey. Forza is at the lowest point. Gears didn't really ring any bells. Like,
are you saying Halo's at its lowest point because Master Chief showed his butt cheeks on the show, or are you just saying because of the?
No. They tried to pick up more. They tried to reinvigorate the crowd with Master Cheeks, we call them. But it's just, I'll be honest, those IPs are just old and tired, and the new generation just picked up on the new stuff. And sometimes it's time to lay it to rest and focus on other things. They shouldn't have milked. Think about it. It's been 24 years since Xbox joined. Master Chief has been a thing for 24 years. Look, Uncharted came out in the PS3 generation, and they killed it in the PS4 generation, right? Like, they killed it within that one generation. Like, it's okay to let some things go. It's okay. But that's why that's why there is really no mascot for Sony for PlayStation, right? You could say it's Uncharted, but you can also say it's God of War. You can also say it's Gran Turismo. You can also say it's Aloy with Horizon. You can say it's Spider-Man.
You could say it's Last of Us.
Exactly.
Joel Miller. Yeah, it could even be Sully at this point.
When you make so many games that does so well, you can pick and choose who, but I mean, Xbox has only been Halo. And then Halo went down the drain, and then people was like, well, I think Gears, I think Gears is the new face of Xbox, right? And then it did well, it did okay, but it didn't reinvigorate to the 360 generation. And then it's like, fuck it. Is it Forza? Is it a race car? Is the mascot? And then you started, and then before you know it, it lost its identity. But that's because they really didn't make any new IPs outside of Halo, Gears, and Forza. They did that for like 3 generations, and so, I mean, that's and it's the truth. Like when Crap said, I mean, the only new IP they ever created was really Quantum Break from last gen to this gen.
Sea of Thieves.
Okay, Sea of Thieves. I mean, do we really want to put? I mean, I get it; it's a moneymaker.
No, yeah. I think when it comes down to it, though, Jay, just to kind of add a little bit, because BRAP said, I think they're going to kind of drip feed. They are, this, whether we're talking about what happened in 2013 with the DRM stuff, or when it got to the point when they were going to take gold away and force basically everybody into Ultimate Game Pass. They immediately went back, and the one thing Phil said that, a lot of people were making fun of it in the tweet, but I actually took it pretty serious. He says, we hear you. They hear us in the sense that they're not going to make a drastic change on their overall plan.
You got to stop saying that, Mooch, by the way.
I know. You're right there, Brad.
Like you have I been like part of like since 2013, launch.
Oh, yeah.
Like, how many times have we heard that?
That's a lot.
His last tweet said, "We hear you."
Right, exactly.
His last tweet talking about these events said, "We hear you." So I mean, that's the.
But I think they're going to go ahead and drip feed. This will be the plan that they have that we've heard. I think is eventually what will happen over the course of years. I think initially we will be told next week, at the very minimum, that many of their games will be making their way over to PlayStation and Nintendo. I think that's the real message that'll go forth. Will we hear changes that are coming to Game Pass and the tier differences, and whether they're going to put certain games under a higher pay tier? I don't know if we're going to get all of that next week. I think they're going to mention that they're going to be putting some of their games, and maybe they'll tell us the timetable, 6 months, 12 months. Games like Hi-Fi Rush, Sea of Thieves. And they say when there's smoke, there's fire. Those games have been, multiple people in the know have said, I've heard this. When we start getting into the Gears of War collection and things like that, that's stuff that's surfacing now. But the Sea of Thieves and the Hi-Fi Rushes, those are things that a lot of people said, I've heard that. I've actually heard that for quite some time. So if that actually happens, that would be... So, Jay, I'm not saying what you said is wrong. I don't think it's going to be a pull the Band-Aid off all in one shot next week. Yeah, I think it'll be slow dripped. Yeah,
it should be, and I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why it should be. Microsoft has this issue where instead of just ripping the Band-Aid off one time, they'll like pick it a little bit to where like the hairs start to pull and you're like out, and then they'll do it again a couple other months and he's like out. Like it's worse form, right? It's just worse form because like every couple of months they're always doing something that just really knocks them back. It's just stepping on a rake analogy. Instead of just being upfront, hey guys, this is what we're gonna do. This is our plan. Well, the old plan didn't work. We tried this, it didn't work. Just be upfront and then let the chips fall where they may. But now you done did what you did and you've lied to people and stuff like that, and you got your most staunch supporter, Tim Dog, to where he doesn't trust you anymore because you've did this for the over and over and over and over and over again. That's why. But I mean, I get it. They're a corporation. They change. They move with the times.
Well,
but they are not. They're they do what they do.
Yeah, J-Dub, the lesson learned here, to your point, you mentioned like Tim, because I heard him say it on the Spaces. It's like the other day, these companies don't care about you. But real quick, gentlemen, I do want to introduce Gaming Forte, whose company broke the name change and then removed that, I guess, that tweet. So Forte, what's going on, man?
Tweet?
I believe they did. I'd have to go.
Oh man.
I have to go back and look. I'm not 100% sure, but welcome to the show, Forte.
Well,
What's up, Forte?
what is up, guys? How you guys doing today?
Doing well,
good, brother.
Forte.
It's good, Forte.
I want to get to your thoughts, Forte, but I want to grab some super chats here. Grab 2 super chats and then go to you.
Pay bills.
Yes, exactly.
Bills
Pay the
need to be
bills. JD Gamer with the $10 super chat. This is a continuation of his first super chat. Says that means the console must remain competitive and relevant, so don't expect all Xbox games to end up on PlayStation, Xbox. Some games have been PlayStation since Minecraft and continued when they got ZeniMax. Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with that. I don't think they'll go day and date, but then again, you never know. It's Microsoft. I would suspect that they probably JD Gamer have like staggered releases, but you never know. I mean, look, they already have their 2 biggest IPs, Minecraft and Call of Duty, on multiple consoles day and date. The bean counters are looking at that, the revenue from that. They may say, you know what, the hell with it. Let's just go all in. We want that money. So, but I don't necessarily disagree with your DM or your super chat there. Then T-Rock 40 with the $5 super chat says you have to forgive BRAP. He hasn't played anything but Baldur's Gate 3 for months. His mind is still on bare love scenes. Oh man. Come on, really? And then let me go to you, Forte, and then I have a lot more super chats I'll get to here shortly. But Forte, I don't know how much of the conversation you heard, but we were discussing, all this stuff that's going on with Microsoft, Xbox. I know you and I've talked about it a little bit. Phil Spencer saying, "Hey, we hear you." His kind of go-to line, and then them having this business meeting next week. What are your thoughts, Forte? Like, what do you? Now that we're a couple days into this, what do you think? What do you think's going to happen? I mean, again, I know we're spitballing here. Again, nothing's been officially confirmed in terms of what games might go to PlayStation, but clearly there's going to be a pivot when you say a business meeting of some sorts, and then you hear Tim Stewart, the CFO of Microsoft, or I'm sorry, of Xbox, saying we're gonna make a pivot. Our strategy is going to pivot. Like, people should pay attention to what Tim Stewart said. I was told that's not what he meant last summer. It's like, well, what else did he mean then? But go ahead, Forte.
The plan ain't gonna change. Plan's gonna stay the same. How much they actually divulge of what the future looks like is up in the air. I feel like they just need to pull the Band-Aid off 100% and just say I'm done with it, because at that point, the conversation could kind of just move on to what's next, other than everybody taking their thoughts or taking their comments and twisting them in 15 different directions. I think that's always been a big issue with Xbox and their communication. It's like cloak and dagger. Sometimes it's for the best for them because it kind of keeps the conversation going, but a lot of the time it's to the detriment. And I think this is to the detriment of the fact that they, Phil even came out with a statement that wasn't even a statement, that kind of said it was like a double whammy. It was like, we hear you, but we're gonna do this next week. I'm like, yeah. What? I was like, wait a minute, hold up, man. The house is on fire. You said we're gonna wait till next week. So at that point, it's like I don't want to hear. I'd rather you not say anything. It's like just because the thing is, what did that really do? All it did was say that, oh yeah, we're aware of your issues, but your issues are going to remain until at least next week. So it's like I just never get that type of communication. It's kind of it's crazy, but I think everybody on the panel is kind of correct. It just really comes down to how much they want to divulge of what the future is. And I think when there's smoke, there's fire with all this stuff. You know, I was talking to some people because I have no insight to what's going on with that GameStop stuff. It's because my store is not doing it. So it's more of a situation, just hard to believe that a company would misprint that, knowing that type of information.
All of a sudden, out of the blue.
Yeah, it's just weird because for the most part, it just seems like a lot of that stuff is, you know, and this isn't just talking about one corporation. This is like multiple, like any corporation. When it comes to like you putting out communication, that stuff is kind of finalized weeks and weeks in advance. And, you know, that probably was already made a while ago. And the fact that it still has Xbox branding on it, but the only thing that says Microsoft Game Pass is just at the bottom and like kind of the print that they have at the bottom. I don't know. It's just when I look at something like that, I can see why people are like, yo, what's really going on here? And then you take the rumors of everything that's happening with the potential change of Microsoft rebranding and everything. And all of this happens to just come out literally the day before. So I don't know. It's just it's all a bunch of weird stuff that nobody can really point to. But it always goes back to communication, and that's why I wish, you know, whatever platform they decide to go out with next week, I wish they would just say what it is, because like Jada said, it's going to be a conversation past next week. The week after, and they were talking about every game at that point. You know, whenever they release a game, when is it going to come? How long is it going to come? Because I guarantee they're not going to be forthright with that information too. It just seems like it's a mess right now. But I always tell people
the Commanders Dan Snyder era.
Well, the biggest thing it just comes back to the fact that patience is a virtue, and Microsoft's out of patience. You know, gamers, like a lot of gamers have been out of patience.
Can you say that again, Forte?
Microsoft's out of patience and gamers been out of patience.
Yeah. So the Microsoft, I want to harp on the Microsoft thing because what I've been saying is this has been an underperforming business unit for Microsoft for a long time now. And they have seemingly tried to pivot, change their business strategies. They were trying to shake up the industry with something disruptive with Game Pass. That doesn't seem like it's worked. And because look, I believe this. If it worked, we wouldn't be having a business discussion on Monday or next week. Like we wouldn't be having this conversation today. And Microsoft's like, wait a minute, we just spent $90 billion on publishers. There's got to be some level of ROI here. This can't be an underperforming business unit anymore. But I'm sorry, go ahead, Forte.
No, I think it's not the fact that it's not working. Because I think the thing is, I think it could work in the realm of what it is right now. But the biggest problem they have is let me finish. The biggest problem they're having right now is they got a chance to see what more it could be, over the course of the last quarter, with one game, pretty much. They get a chance to see what revenue on another platform looks like. And yes, all their other IPs aren't as big as that one game, but if you extrapolate your whole entire business portfolio across that, then you start seeing where you could actually make kind of a difference right there, because Xbox has kind of shot themselves in the foot by allowing the narrative of not having to buy games on their platform, for a while now. They kind of condition people to kind of do that. But that's also why I say that's not really the gamer's fault. That's more of Microsoft doing that to themselves consistently over and over and over again. My problem with it is Microsoft, it's finally the year where you could take a lot of data points and you could kind of extrapolate it across an entire year. Like, you saw what one game could do for you in the fourth quarter. Okay, so you got that one data point. And that's not even being able to, promote that game on your platform for that year because of everything that's going on with, the acquisition and PlayStation still having marketing rights and stuff like that. So now you'll be able to do that on your platform this year. Then you take all of the games you actually have that are coming out, and this is all with the caveat that they all released this year, which it looks like they're in a good place. Like, I think all the hiccups is kind of behind them, hopefully. But now you get a chance to see all those games that people have been looking forward to, like the ones that they've been talking about since 2018. You're going to see a bunch of those released this year. So that's another data point. My biggest problem in all of this is they could have this decision, if this is the decision that they're going to do that got leaked out, could have been done at any time. They could have came out next year.
That's what I'm wondering, Forte.
They came out next year in March or February of 2025 and said that this ain't going to work. They could have said the same thing. But the fact that they didn't do that, or they're not going to do that, and the fact that they're going to move forward before they even get data on what a fully loaded fully loaded Xbox looks like for one good year, lets you know that they gave up on a plan a long time ago. That lets you know that this has been something that they've been thinking about for
Forte, this wasn't even
years at this
Forte.
point.
This wasn't Forte. It's not even a situation that they gave up on it. Now, like, you have, and I've been listening to a lot of people that have been in the gaming business for a long time on a lot of different podcasts, and they make a lot of sense. Hi-Fi Rush, which is probably the best game to come out, one of the best games come out for the Xbox this generation. It didn't sell well, and it didn't move Game Pass. Starfield, which we've said this on Crossfire every week forever, is Starfield. It underperformed for what Microsoft thought. Just to use what you said for a second, Forte, in reference to Starfield. Starfield is a massive game made by Bethesda, made by Todd Howard. That is a lot of gaming, and I mean this in a positive way. Clout. That's a lot of push. That's a lot of press right there. The game itself didn't do what Microsoft wanted for Xbox console sales, and it didn't do anything tremendously. I'm sure there was a spike up, but the spike up was not what they were looking for in Game Pass. I'm sure they saw a jump for 30 to 60 days, and then once people beat it, they dropped out of Game Pass. They did the month by month. So my point being is, the whole idea of having something like that is that you loop them in and you keep them there. So I think what happened was, I think Starfield was really the litmus test. I think that was the test. And when Starfield,
a terrible
right?
test if that's the case.
Well, you say that, Forte, but if you don't think a game as big as Starfield that has that kind of money in it, Bethesda, one of the biggest names in development behind it, isn't going to be the test? You think Hellblade 2 is going to move consoles and Game Pass? You think Avowed is going to move Game Pass and consoles? If Starfield ain't doing it, Hellblade 2 is not doing it.
Yeah, but let me ask you this: and we're going to use your favorite analogy. We're going to talk about food.
Woo, let's talk about it.
Now I'm getting hungry. Let's go. Let's talk. Let's do it.
So you got a restaurant that was kind of struggling for a while. Yes. They got the same ownership. They were kind of struggling for a while, but they brought some new stuff to the menu, and all of a sudden, it went from being okay to being okay. This is a lot better. It's decent. It's not as terrible as it was before, but it's a little bit better. But it's nothing really to cry home about. Which one do you think will work out better for you? Do you think the litmus test of 3 months out of a 12-month year worth of reviews is going to be the litmus test, or are you going to think a year worth of data of seeing if that improves with what you see coming down the line?
Forte, this. Forte, you're in
one change. It's just one change.
Forte, you're in the business though. You understand when I'm about to say what I'm going to say, you're going to go, "Oh, that's true." They didn't just wait 3 months. That first 3 months of a mega blockbuster game coming out is when it does its best. Right? You'll say that yourself. You'll sell a game outside of the oddities like GTA 5 or something like that. The rest of the games, after 3, 4, 5 months, it starts to dwindle down in sales.
Right.
So Well, they didn't. They did their due diligence. They waited the 3 months. They waited longer.
But what did
the
they
game
have to
came out in
sustain
September.
that, though? What did they have to sustain that past that?
Well, that's a them problem.
But that's what I'm. But see, that's what I'm talking about.
Well, how much?
I
Forte,
agree
we
with
say
you
this all the time. We say this all the time, Forte.
That's what
We've given them
100%.
I know we're on the same page here, but my point is that we've given them since Sea of Thieves to come out with a new IP that's that's big, right?
No, that's why I said gamers. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I'm
I know.
not
I hear
saying
you.
gamers aren't wrong about they should have been upset about this.
Right.
This isn't a gamer thing. We're talking about a Microsoft side of it.
Correct.
Because Microsoft, I would give them that same. I would give them that same energy in Microsoft if this is something that they decided to do back in 2015 when it was really bad and they had no first party studios. But you literally basically knowing that this is a part of your division, this is a part of a subdivision under Microsoft. You knew the situation it was in, and basically you went all the way to 2015. It was like we only got four first party studios, and it took us 3 additional years to even get to the point where we were willing to spend money to do that. And then the studios you bought, and I told people this when they first bought those studios. When they bought those studios still had commitments to other developers and publishers. And those games they were making, they weren't going to see the fruit of those labels of those games for at least 4 to 5 years back in 2018. And you add another year onto that because of the pandemic that kind of slowed everything down. You're looking at 2022, maybe 2023 at the earliest. We know a lot of games got delayed out of 2023. That's why we're in 2024 with so many games. But my biggest thing is if Microsoft would have made this commitment years ago, like 2015, and we're still talking about it now, then I'll be like, Microsoft should be fed up. But no, you literally just opened the piggy bank up to them.
Well,
so why not let the games that you initially put your money down on? Let's see what those games do before we decide to blow everything up. Like I said, next year in 2025, if these games aren't hitting the mark like they're supposed to, if you're still seeing 3% growth in your hardware sales, if you're still seeing declining numbers in your Game Pass subscription, or you're seeing stagnated numbers in 2025, guess what? You showed that you basically gave them a chance with some of their biggest games they were going to do that with. Because guess what? All those games they're talking about, they can still put them on PlayStation a year from now. Starfield's not supposed to, if you go by the rumors, it's not going to release on PlayStation 5 until early next year after the DLC comes out.
No,
whenever the DLC comes out, basically.
Later this year, the DLC.
Well, whenever the DLC comes out.
Yeah, the DLC. Yeah.
So that still puts you in the window of so Starfield will be at the end of this year, early next year at the latest probably. I just feel like if you're going to do that, just at least give the purchases you bought, give them a chance to do something first.
Forte.
See, that's the only thing where I don't agree with the Fortes. I think they've given them already. They've given them plenty of time. And again, I have to go back to it. And I hate that we're using just Starfield, but again, the projection. Xbox has not been bashful. They've shown you games that are coming out in the next couple of years, right? The games that are, but. Indiana Jones, I'm not, if anyone's looking forward to it, that's fine. I'm going to play Indiana Jones. That's fine. But Indiana Jones, Avowed, at the end of the day, you have Hellblade 2. I mean, those games are, if the games they've put out in the past, they put out, what was the game made by Arcane, where you had the roguelike, where you went over and over again.
Are you talking about? It
was on PlayStation first.
What's it called?
Then it came to Game Pass.
How about
what's it called? Ghostwire Tokyo.
Ghostwire Tokyo is one of them, but it was the one before that, and it was Arcane.
Deathloop. Yes, thank you.
If you have Deathloop came to Game Pass, you have Ghost Knight. What is it? Ghostwire Tokyo. You've got. Right, you have Hellblade, not Hellblade. Hellblade's coming out. Starfield. You had Hi-Fi Rush. These games. Forte, what I'm saying is they actually did the test. The test showed, and Starfield was the biggest game that's coming out it came out last year, and it's bigger than any game coming out this year for Xbox. And in all essence, it didn't do the work it had to do to sustain it. So they are maybe it goes back to what you originally said when you just got on the show. You said why they're doing it now versus were they going to do it were they going to do it in the summer? Were they going to do it next year? That's debatable, but it was going to happen. And I think what really was the deciding factor. Regardless, the deciding factor was Starfield. That Starfield was the deciding factor.
I think it was going to happen regardless. I think now this whole conversation is basically tied to the fact that this was a leak. This probably wasn't going to all go down till next year anyway. It's just the fact that we know about it.
That could be.
We know about it. Most of this stuff probably wasn't going to happen until later on anyway. So,
yeah, I can't predict the timetable, but I hear
exactly.
You. Yeah.
We don't know. So we would think that maybe if this never got leaked out, we probably wouldn't be hearing about this until later this year. Like it was supposedly spring is when you're supposed to start hearing about games going over there. So who really knows what the case is on that? I just think the way that it looks is it looks like all of these purchases were made by Microsoft with the thought that this was going to be the future no matter what.
Hey, anyway. Forte, can you hold that thought real quick? I got to get some super chats. Jez just came here, but let me grab these super chats real quick. Yeah, we got a lot of super. I'm behind. I'm
gonna tell you, guys start sharing that, man.
Yeah, JD Gamer. This isn't normal for BRAP, by the way. So, JD Gamer with the $5 super chat says Microsoft Game Pass is coming to PlayStation, Nintendo is what they're announcing. Don't forget that the strategy was to own so much IP that it forced PlayStation to submit. I don't think that's the case, and I'll get back to that in a minute. Then JD Gamer with the $2 super chat says, shout out to Forte, Mooch, Brap, and of course J-Dub. JD Gamer again with the $10 super chat says, J-Dub, math works, and you can't get an increase in revenue in hardware by 5% if you discount the hardware by 30 to 50% without greatly increasing the unit sales. This is basic business math. That's like JD's favorite go-to, by the way, math. But I do want to welcome the real Jez, and I hope you brought breadsticks.
Yes,
hey, what's going on, Jez?
What's up? Yo, I was just listening, guys. Yo, great show. Hit that like button, everybody. Yeah, we were in the space with Tim Dog earlier too, and he's still going.
No, he's still going. Wow, yeah. I'm not surprised.
But his phone didn't die yet. But I wanted to say something with I agree with what they're saying, dude. The fact that they're doing this now, it's like such a bad PR move because they kind of finally are saying that they have this cadence. They were coming up with the four games per quarter or whatever after not having anything. And the fact that they're doing this now where they may start saying, hey, now that we got the games, well, we'll put them everywhere. But the thing is, though, is that when you're saying going back to 2015, the thing is, though, is they didn't spend $80 billion back then. They were just buying those studios. When they started buying publishers, I think they had to tap into the Satya funds even more, and it got more eyes on them.
Okay,
so
more
now,
eyes on them.
Now, like they're like, okay, because if you remember, back when they bought Bethesda, ZeniMax, the emails got leaked out in the court documents where Tim Stewart and Booty and Phil were kind of saying, we want to make these games exclusive. And Stewart was like, all of them? And Phil's like, yeah, all of them. For the amount of money we're going to lose now to make it exclusive, it's worth it to build our portfolio or something along those lines. And I think ever since they started doing the publisher thing, and then once they did Activision, that thing's just huge. So I think once they started doing the publisher thing, eyes were on them and they just panicked. And Tim's been saying it, and I think we've seen it also with the NPDs. They saw these numbers. They spent the money. As I said, it's like buyer's remorse. After Christmas, you see that the credit card bill comes in, and you're just like, oh crap, yeah, we did spend that amount of money last year. We need to do something, and this is where we're going. And I think the Activision thing kind of said this is like what you were saying. Once they started doing that, they know that, hey, this is going to be our path forward. We're going to just use Activision and ZeniMax, and those are going to be the main publishers, and we're just going to be everywhere. But the thing that messes everything up, though, is that Starfield stuff. The fact that they went in and said, make this exclusive, I think that was that was like Phil's last hurrah to try to see if this would work. And I think it didn't do what it needed to do and didn't hold. Now they came to this point.
Yeah. It's just like you said, the timing is odd, right? Like
it is such a bad time for the fans.
And I understand what you're saying
for the fans. It's such a bad time.
That's the only thing I was talking about is it's just because they have all of this stuff coming now, and I don't disagree. Like I said, Microsoft seems like they're at the point where they're pretty much through with it too. So, but it's just the fact that, dude, you literally have this. It's like for the fans.
Exactly.
This is like what they were looking forward to.
Finally,
like
right?
Finally looking forward to it. Then all of a sudden, it's like, dude, you're finally gonna feed us, but then you're gonna say no. But you know what? We're gonna invite everybody else over for Thanksgiving after you've been starving us for years.
Can I ask you this question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so we've been looking at the numbers. We've been looking at the business case for Game Pass and for the direction of the hardware and everything for years. I personally, right, along with a bunch of other people, some on the panel, have been saying this doesn't make good business sense. There's just, not enough Game Pass subscribers. It lets you in and it lets you out. And I'd sign up when a game drops that's worthwhile, and then I'll instantly cancel my subscription.
Eat a bag of Doritos.
So, and then on top of that, we're seeing consistent NPD and European numbers, and all our numbers have been negative since forever. And we just scratched our head and we couldn't understand. But all we were seeing was Microsoft's revenue here and there and there, and we knew that they were fluffing the numbers or finagling them in a way to make them look better than what they really were. And so the Xbox fan base were touting those. Oh, Microsoft, they made this money without even releasing any games. So imagine when the games come, right? They've been doing this for years. And here we are, right, in February of 2024. In a few days next week, perhaps Monday, they're going to come out and release all this news and tell you why it's unsustainable and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, we knew that years ago. We've been saying this. Why didn't, I guess, the fan base or anybody with like common sense have not figured out how we got here?
So,
Jay,
if I answered that question I can only answer for myself. I can't answer for anybody. I can only answer for myself. This is something that I already knew. I knew it's like, I always knew that this was most likely, because we don't see numbers. I was like, this is most likely like funded by Microsoft, and they're going to keep this afloat as long as they can. That was always something that I always knew. Now, the biggest thing that I always told, I told people and I told myself, I don't care what Microsoft does. If they're going to offer it to you at a low, like anybody that says, like, I always laugh at people when they say I'd rather pay full price for stuff, and I'm sitting there like, you're a damn lie. Nobody will want to pay full price for anything if they ain't got to. So I told people, as long as they are giving you this option to be able to take advantage of it, then I'm going to take advantage of it. I don't care how it hurts Microsoft's pocket, because guess what? They must not care, because they're giving it to you at this discounted rate. I said the moment that they decide to change that, I will be mad that they change it, because like, listen, at a certain point, a company has to do what's right for them. So they made a decision to say, hey, we need to get people back in the ecosystem. How can we do it? They decided to make Game Pass. They decided to get all their games day and date. Some people will say that that's probably one of the worst decisions they could possibly do. I'm not here to disagree with you on that. I'm just going to say that your boy Forte took advantage of the situation, because they allowed us to take advantage of it, and I don't feel bad about it. But the only thing I will say is, if they come out here and tell people that we're going to take your Game Pass away, you take your day and date away, and we're still going to put all your games on another platform, at that point, I'm like, yo, that's kind of crazy that you're just going to completely reverse everything and then take games away I won't say take games away, because you're not taking the games away from people. But if you're going to start doing, like, you're going to release them day and date on other platforms like PlayStation and stuff like that, at that point, I'm a little more upset, because of, not for myself, because I own the consoles. I'm upset that I sold Xboxes to people that bought Starfield last year. I told you this the other day, J-Dub, when we were on when we was in what's the name's chat. I was like, that was my only thing that I was a little upset at, that we convinced people to buy Xboxes because we told them that Starfield was going to be exclusive to Xbox, and these are people that had PlayStations already. So this is more being upset at the fact that we convinced one side that this is the only way you can do it, but then less than 6 months later, you turn around and say, you know what, that's not the case anymore. So you're kind of screwing two player bases at the same time, and I really don't like that part of it. So that really upsets me more than the decision that they're actually making, because they're a corporation. I could care less what decision they make. the stock's gonna go up or down. I have stock options inside of Microsoft, so I do like when the options go up. But ultimately, it doesn't really matter to me when it comes to the decisions they make when it comes to their console, because either you're going to buy it because they gave you a reason to buy it, or you're not going to buy it because, once again, they didn't give you a reason to buy it. And I never cross those two things. That's why I don't worship the box as much as other people do.
So
I think they're going to be very high level on Monday. When
They are.
yeah.
They're going to just talk about this direction, like this general
Yep.
Microsoft vision of like where, and then they're going to say, and you might see some of our games going to other platforms because we believe in putting games everywhere, and then be, say maybe they say one Hi-Fi Rush, but they're not going to be like the whole slate. They're not going to say any of that stuff. And then I'm in shock if these rumors are true that they're going to introduce more hardware. And the thing is that
Exactly.
is just. Dude,
No,
the thing
they'll
is,
get the fans excited though.
well, it will.
Yeah.
But the stupidest thing is like, again, they are so bad. You have the Asus ROG, you have the Legion Go, you have a Asus ROG coming out, a second one coming out. You have the Steam Decks out there. You really think if Microsoft makes a portable device with an Intel? They just said, what is it? The other one that came out, not Asus, but the other company is
Lenovo.
MSI.
Lenovo.
I have the Lenovo one. MSI is announcing using the Intel processor. That one was announced at CES. And now Microsoft might do one like a Switch. Like it's like that market right now is flooded of these little portable devices. And are they selling that much? The Windows ones, the Steam Deck is doing all right, but like are the Windows ones besides the ROG Ally really lift? It's a niche. That's a real small market there, and you're gonna throw. Now you think if you put an Xbox branded portable device, it's gonna do well? I'm like, you missed the boat. Why didn't you be the first one out the gate if that's what you wanted to do? But
you know what's
it's
you
so
know what's
weird.
funny?
Like I'll be stupid if they do that.
You know what's funny? I'm actually reading this tweet that somebody put out there. Like everyone is betting against Xbox. Thinking the business update will weaken the brand. And he says, he or she says, did it occur to you that Microsoft, a $1 trillion company that spent $90 billion to grow Xbox, might have the smarts budget ambition to keep streaking the brand? And I'm thinking to myself, they've been one of the richest companies for 20 something years and haven't been
rich
and have basically been in third place. Why do you think this is going to be any different? Like
exactly.
I don't understand. Like where do people come up with this stuff? Like, look, I appreciate the optimism, but like, why would you think that? They literally have always had more money than Sony and Nintendo. And what this person described has never come true. Why would you think $90 billion acquisitions, right? The biggest franchise on the ABK thing is what's it called? Candy Crush. The second one would be Call of Duty, and then after that, the Blizzard franchises. All those games are staying multi-plat.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And if nothing showed you, dude, 2022.
Sorry for the yelling in the rant there. Sorry.
With all those studios in 2022 and not having the release, because when they delayed Starfield and Redfall, they had nothing to piggyback off of those games being delayed a year, and they had a whole 2022 of just like Pentiment at the end of the year. I'm like, they're sitting on all those studios, all that clip art that everybody makes.
There's a problem that a lot of people aren't talking about, you know. And and you guys have been listening to me for a while. Like this is Xbox leadership issues. I mean, you have 2020.
Got to go, Mooch. By the way,
2020. You know, 2020 was supposed to be it was the release of the Xbox Series X. They launched with no new game. Nothing.
Because Halo got delayed. They had nothing.
Halo got delayed, right?
No backup.
Then you fast forward when they said it was going to be November 22 for Starfield, and they delayed it a full year, which they didn't say it was going to be a year at the time. They said delayed. Okay. But when you stop and you understand that when Phil and company came out and said, we're going to do a hands-off approach, we're going to let them do what they want to do. That makes sense when you look at the companies. You go, Mooch, you have to understand, these are award-winning companies. They don't have to have their handheld. They're award-winning companies when they had to keep the lights on. Okay? Not when everything was comped. Everything was paid for. Now you lose a little bit of that fire. So all of a sudden, Microsoft is like, we'll just buy these great companies and we'll let them do their thing. Hey, guys, do your thing. I'll just come collect the rent. It don't work that way. If everybody could do that, everybody'd own a pizza shop. Open up a shop, put up the front cost, and then just go collect the money at the end of the night. You don't make any of the pies. You got nothing to do with the ingredients. You're not there for the hiring and firing. But it don't work that way. It don't work that way. They thought they could just buy everything, sit back, and then put release dates out. And I'm simplifying it. Right, exactly. It worked with Minecraft, but look at Minecraft. Okay,
exactly. They haven't done anything.
So
with it.
my point being is that's what backfired. You've got a situation here from 2019 when they announced the console at the Game Awards to when Starfield launched. 2 critical delays in Halo Infinite, and Halo Infinite launched. I don't care what anybody says. The multiplayer was polished, but it was not enough content, and that campaign, I thought, listen. That's not good. It's not good.
Bootleg
then you have a situation, right? And everyone told me, Mooch, don't worry. The big, vast areas are going to get filled in as they have season 2, season 3, season 4 of the campaign. We ain't seen it. It's not there.
Mooch, the sandbox. It's still empty.
It
still has the sand in it.
You remember, Jez? You're in the audience when we were having this conversation. The show, you're laughing. Oh, don't worry, it's going to get better. Then the same thing with Starfield. Listen, Starfield. If you enjoyed it, I'm not here to take away your enjoyment. That's fine. But what I'm saying to you is, for a game that was 25 years, Todd Howard woke up in the middle of the night, okay, like dreaming about this game. This is the game I've wanted to create. I got to tell you, like, it doesn't even hold a candle to his past games. So, and it was delayed a year. What if we got the game that wasn't delayed a year? You know, it would have been a catastrophe. So, and this is because Microsoft has a hands-off approach. So that's why when people say, Mooch, why don't you get excited about these acquisitions? Why aren't you rooting for them? Because I'm seeing them buy companies, and they did this when they took over Gears. Look at Gears. Where's Gears? And look what they've done in 4 and 5 since they took over from Epic. Look at Forza. People are like, you can't mess up Forza. Well, they managed to do it. They managed to mess up Forza Motorsport. This is probably the worst one they've made in their last 3 or 4 games.
J-Dub, did they add drag racing in it yet? We're still waiting for it.
Nope, still waiting for it.
It's just, so, you know, Forza, when we're talking about the timetable, man, the time has come and the time is gone. Well, and that's why them making this move, you know, it makes a lot of noise and it gets in people's feelings, and I understand it. But at the end of the day, the investors are you know who does show up every 30th day looking to collect? The investors. And they're not seeing the return.
Where my dividends at?
That's right. That's just what it comes down to.
Every 90 days. So I have a question. When's the last time Xbox did something or came out with something? Was the last time you were super excited?
That's a great question.
Honestly,
just the fucking hardware, just the fucking console, and the hope that because it had so much power and they promised us that the games were going to come, and you finally think that this is our time, this is that time. They surely got their stuff together, and then they end up doing worse than the previous. I'm gonna be honest, it's phenomenal.
I was excited for Titanfall. I was excited for Titanfall.
That was my answer.
But
You know, the last thing I was excited for. The last thing I was excited for was when they announced games going day and date on PC. I said, "Oh, well, there we go."
So, and backwards compatibility was a big announcement at the E3. That was a big one when we did backwards compatibility. That was a cool announcement. At the time, I thought that was really a good announcement there.
So that's a really great thing for game preservation, right? You want to be able to have back compat. We see Sony did it too.
Absolutely.
You know, the thing is, Mooch, is that I thought that backwards compatibility was the opportunity for them to bring back those franchises. Like, you give me the old versions to play while you're making the sequels.
That's right.
And the problem is the sequels never came up. It was just go play the old games again. And then I was like, oh, that's all it was? It was sort of... So I thought it was like that.
Yeah, I agree.
So the reason I ask you that, and something very profound happened yesterday for me that hadn't happened in a while, and my wife brought it to my attention. Like, I've been with my wife for over 25 years now. She was there when I first got my 360. I called her yesterday. I FaceTimed her. I'm a shoe person, so I buy shoes. So, you know, there's a new pair of Jordans coming out, the Reimagined 4s. They released on November 7th. But they did a shock drop on the Nike app yesterday. I got the notification. I jumped on my phone. I made sure all my stuff was in there to try to get this shock drop to get these shoes early. And when that screen, it had me pending for 5 minutes. They said, you're in line, pending. And then that screen popped up, said, got him. And it showed the shoes and had my confirmation, and I got my emails and everything. I instantly called my wife on FaceTime, shared my screen with her. I was like, your boy got him. Your boy got him. And she was like, bro, I haven't seen you this happy since the Xbox 360, and the second time is when Halo 3 came out and you walked in the house with the collector's edition for the helmet.
Oh, the helmet? You got the helmet? Yeah.
I'm looking at it right now.
I got mine. Yep. Me too.
And she said that when she said that, she was like, I've never seen you this happy to buy something like you were. And I said, since when? She said, honestly, since you got your 360, because you camped out for it. I camped out for my 360. And I camped out for my Halo helmet. Not camped out, but I stood in line at the midnight to get my Halo helmet. And I remember when I walked in the house, I was showing it to her and I was all giddy and stuff. And she was like, yeah, that's the last time I saw you this happy to buy something. And that's not a shot to say that none of the other stuff that came out, because there's a lot of other things that happened, like consoles that released. I got the Titanfall Collector's Edition and everything. That stuff was real cool too. I won't take away day and date games when it comes to Game Pass and PC and everything. I liked all that stuff. But my excitement level yesterday, like, when I think about it right now, I'm shivering, because it's just something. It's like something about something that you're super anticipating and something that you really, really want, and you know it's going to be good and it's going to be great, and you get it, or you finally experience it. That's something that Microsoft has been missing with Xbox for the last 15 years.
Yeah,
that excitement level for you. Like, what is the like? That's the whole thing I kept telling everybody. Like, think about the 7th generation. People always talk about, like, listen, as much as everybody wants to say the consoles aren't dying and stuff like that. It's not that they're not dying. Consoles not dying. It's not really growing either. There's like 300 million people out there that buy consoles. Most of them buy all the same consoles. If you go all the way back to the 7th generation, where Switch had 115 million, PlayStation had 180, well, they had 87 million, and Xbox had 84 million. That's just around somewhere around 260 to 280 million consoles sold. You go to last generation, Switch is a part of that. That's 130 million systems sold. PlayStation 120, almost 130 million sold. That's 260 right there by itself. Then Xbox, you add that into it. That's what, close to like 40 to 50. So you're right around that 300 million people that buys it. The problem is Xbox hasn't found a way to get gamers that own PlayStations to buy an Xbox. Like, everybody in the 360 generation had both systems for the most part. I had both systems. Everybody on this panel had both systems. So it's not the fact that they can't sell. It's not the fact that people don't want to support Xbox. It's the fact that they gave you a reason to. Like, if you already got a PlayStation, what else is on Xbox that you really truly want if you already got a PlayStation? During the 360 generation, they gave you a reason because of all those timed exclusivities, those first-party games that were amazing. You know, the fact that games kind of ran better on the Xbox 360. Of course, you were going to buy your PlayStation because you were a PlayStation fan. You came from PlayStation 1 to PlayStation 2, and you was just waiting for the price to drop and some of those games to come out. And what happened? As soon as that stuff came out, the love for PlayStation never left, and you went over there and bought a PlayStation, and it was like it never happened. But that never happened for Xbox during the Xbox One generation, because those people that were staunchly PlayStation supporters were like, okay, what do you got for me this generation?
And you know what, Forte, too? Like, during the Xbox One generation, they did not create a big new franchises to carry them into this generation.
Carry them to the next generation.
You know, when you look at the 360, Gears started on the 360, so it made sequels. Like, they did nothing with the lack of IP. Yeah, they had CFDs and stuff, but the lack of that big IP, I thought it would be Titanfall for the Xbox One, hurt it, because now they had nothing to make sequels to for the next generation.
They did exactly what we blank PlayStation, and most people won't tell you this. They did exactly what PlayStation did last generation, living off of Call of Duty for the last part of the generation. That's what Xbox did in the 7th generation. They lived off Call of Duty. And what happened when they didn't have that to fall back on for exclusivity?
Well, I think
everything flipped.
You know, for me, I think we talk about like the excitement. We talk about Halo 3, the helmet, and all these games we're excited for. I think for me, and as I think about going back to like even 2013 and the dialogue around the Xbox One at the time and going into this generation, when the excitement really, at least to me, when I was observing the community, I'm like, when the community started focusing on things like the tools, DirectX 5 or 6, whatever it was back then.
Phil's t-shirts.
Phil's t-shirt. Yo, look, he's got a statue behind behind his office, behind him.
Yes.
So Kojima's coming. Like when it wasn't like the games, like there's, to me at least, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but at least to me, in my observation of the communities, when Nintendo's about to release something, the community looks forward to it. You feel the excitement, right? And it's game focused. The same thing with PlayStation, mostly. But with the Xbox community, and with the Xbox in particular, like it became, well, wait till we get the tool set. Wait till DX11. Wait till, we're going to have the Series X, the most powerful console in the world, eats monsters for men. It's going to be 12 teraflops. It's going to show, but it was never about the game. And then with the Series X in particular, they don't really deliver content that shows off the power of the hardware. And we don't get any first party next gen exclusives until last year. And so, like, that's when I was like, there's something amiss here. Like, something's just not adding up if I compare it to how we get excited as gamers, as consumers for the other platforms with the content they release. We never talk about Nintendo and the tools. We never talk about PlayStation and the tools.
The tools.
We don't do that.
Tools are coming.
Right? I mean, it's just like, it's never a conversation. And it just, and I think, unfortunately, and this is, I know, JW, something you and I've talked about, like that people, these parasocial relationships they have with these corporations, they just latched on to, they love us, they like us. And it's almost like that was just good enough. But I'm like, that's not good enough for me. Like, where are the games? Where are those things that used to get us excited? I think it was you, Jez. You went to the Halo 3 launch. Remember that? That was an event. Right?
That was incredible.
Yeah. What's the last time we had an event like that for Microsoft, for Xbox?
Hasn't. The one thing I do have to say, I feel that when they did the 20-year anniversary, again, as Mooch says, nostalgia is a hell of a drug.
Mm-hmm.
When they did that 20-year anniversary video, and at the end they made us play the Halo, like the Halo beta opened up, and we just got to play the Halo beta. That night, I did feel like the old school, because everybody just got on. We played Halo Infinite, and then the next day I realized I had the relapse of like, there's nothing in this game. But that one night, when everybody just got on and played after watching the 20 years, that was like the last. I was like, that was like the last kind of feeling I had, like back, like a classic Xbox feeling. But you're right, the game. And you want to know what, BRAP? The other thing too is that Microsoft does not do a good job of making their games exciting. They don't show confidence in their demonstration of the games at all to get people excited. Like, look at the breakdown of Final Fantasy VII. Look at how they're hyping people up, playing the demo, doing this the state of play about it. Same thing to do with Stellar Blade. Like they did it with their Horizon and also with God of War. They get people excited about their product because it shows confidence in it. And Microsoft, they don't do that. They hide it. They hide their game behind developers doing cartwheels in the hallway.
Yeah.
The lady riding the moped. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? What's this got to do with the game?
What's this?
People smiling in the break room. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
But you know what? You're right. And the reason
hold on, Forte, hold on for a sec. Mooch, I know you got to get going soon.
Yeah.
If you need to go.
Yeah, guys, I do.
Let's get us out of here.
It's gonna be an early day tomorrow. I've been begging BRAP to move BRAP to 8:00 Eastern. He's got to do it at some point. I mean, pretty soon you're gonna be like, I can't do it, and I'm gonna be like, dude, your kids are 23 years old. We got to do this. We got to get BRAP earlier. I want to hang out and chat with you guys longer. No, BRAP, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
The great gaming fortes here, of course. Jez, J-Dub, and I will have an announcement for you guys tomorrow on when we're going to be streaming Helldivers 2. BRAP may even be joining us.
Oh yeah, I might jump into that.
You guys are, Jez, you're more than welcome.
I don't know, man. I got too many games to play right now.
You got another 100 hours of BG3
I got
to get done.
to get into what's it called. Grand Blue Fantasy Relink and Persona 3 Reload. So
Dude, that
That
game
does
is so
look
good.
good.
Grand
Forte-
Blue. Oh man.
Forte,
Is there
would
a
you
show
ask?
tomorrow,
Great,
Mooch?
yeah.
I know you did one on Monday. Is there one tomorrow?
Yeah, we're doing Crossfire tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And then me and Jay, I can say it on the air. Me and Jay, we're gonna go right afterwards. So I gotta talk to Jay after the show. Either we're gonna go right after Crossfire into Helldivers 2, or I was thinking about doing a large block on Friday. I gotta talk to Jay about scheduling.
Yeah.
But Jay, we'll talk about that off the air. But yeah, one of the other guys, we're gonna be still doing a large block of Helldivers 2, whether it be Thursday late or Friday evening. So we'll figure something out. We'll let you guys know. But yeah, Forte, we need you. I know that you have DPS tomorrow as well.
Oh, no,
I always
I'm off
plug the
tomorrow.
show.
I'll be. I just won't be able to say the whole thing, but I'll be there.
Yeah,
the
please. The
beginning.
Great Gaming Forte will be there in BRAP. It'll be a great show. Maybe we can even get Jez on the show. We'll see what happens. You never
Overtime
know.
on these podcasts.
I
all
know.
week.
It's a hell of a week. We're all
It
losing
is a
our
hell
voices.
of a week. Yeah, I know.
BRAP, BRAP, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah,
Guys, have a great
absolutely.
night,
Thank
and
you,
I'll
man.
talk to everybody tomorrow.
Hey, Mooch.
All right,
See you,
peace,
Mooch.
guys.
See you, Mooch.
I have no
All right,
voice.
have a good one.
Peace,
man.
everybody.
Yeah. Real quick, gentlemen, before I wrap up the show, though, I do want to just bring something up here. And so, Jess, someone said you're losing your voice. How many shows have you done this week?
I don't know, 3. I think I did 3,
okay.
and they're like, "Oh, hey man, it's been wild."
We streamed Foam Stars last night.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
on
okay,
Foam Stars
gotcha,
with J Dub.
Hey,
Yeah,
I actually had a pretty good time.
it wasn't that bad. Once you find out what the hell is going on, like it's not bad.
Yeah.
It's definitely chaotic though. I think they need some nice, cool maps. Some of the maps are better
But
than others. Definitely.
why would they release Foam Stars and then like 2 days later release Helldivers 2? Those are two multiplayer
I know.
games, and I can see Helldivers 2 kind of taking over. But
Yeah, dude, Helldivers looks awesome. I can't wait
Yeah.
for that.
yeah.
It reminds me
Yes.
of like Lost Planet. Remember like Lost Planet,
Yeah,
like
Lost
an
Planet,
online.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, I love Lost Planet.
So I do want to bring something up here because I was wondering about the Game Pass situation. And I'm wondering how much of this is attributed to Game Pass, because we got to remember, like, Bobby Kotick on the stand said, hey, like, putting AAA games in day and date it just doesn't make sense. It's not sustainable. Strauss Zelnick has said the same thing. Now, obviously, it's
Jim Ryan said the same thing.
Microsoft can absorb those costs, but I'm wondering at some point, if Microsoft's like, we're not going to absorb those costs anymore. Like, this thing needs to start. Like, we're not going to start absorbing losses to try to hit a certain number. And if I remember those slideshows, the leaks, like some of the numbers that they were projecting by 2027, like about like 90, 100 million subscribers by then. So like almost like a 10-year plan. And they're at maybe 30 million now?
Yeah.
Like,
I think 30, 33. You said, yeah,
like,
30.
I'm just wondering what, like, the knock-on effect of Game Pass, of them kind of reevaluating and saying, wait a minute, we need to shift here, because like we just can't sustain putting AAA games with big budgets into Game Pass, cannibalizing sales, and and also paying licensing fees to developers and publishers to get more games into Game Pass. I mean, I think they were betting on a lot of people seeing this as a great deal, subscribing to Game Pass, and that just didn't happen. So I'm wondering how much. Yeah, go ahead, Jess.
Oh, no, again. So what I'll say is, if you remember back when he said they're putting their games, I always remember this term that he used. He used the flywheel, that you kind of put your games, first party games, into this service, and then it kind of snowballs, and it just momentum carries it. And you're right, like they bet on a lot of stuff that momentum never carried. I think that they thought, first off, by putting Game Pass on phones, that was going to grow that market. We found out last year from Sarah Bond that didn't happen. Nobody wanted to play Game Pass Cloud on their phone. That didn't pick up. Then I think the biggest thing was no publishers it didn't get big enough that people wanted to put their games in Game Pass. They kind of didn't see it as an opportunistic place to make their money for their games, and they wanted a lot of money. So Microsoft, remember, they got Devil May Cry in there like 2 months later, and they paid so much money to Capcom to put that in. It just wasn't cost effective, and I think it never kicked on. And they had to give away all that free stuff. They let people stack, and I think they took the gamer for being ignorant, which I think that's always been the problem on Microsoft. And no, we're smart. We're smart consumers. People stacked it. upgraded for $1, did all this stuff, and they just sat on this stuff, and word of mouth didn't carry because the content wasn't there, and the bets that they made weren't coming through because they made, I think, very presumptuous bets. And I think the biggest problem with Game Pass is that they went all in. They shouldn't have went all in. They should have started trickling things in there and see so they have an out if it didn't work. But they just promised everything when they had nothing, and banked on word of mouth and Doritos and all this other stuff. And then they also thought that the publishing with cloud and all that other stuff would jump on board. And you hear Strauss Zelnick and stuff. They're like, we're not putting our games in there. We work hard on our games. And that was the assumption. When you put a subscription, it's buffet food versus quality dining. Like, you're not going to a buffet and thinking you're going to get the best cut of meat like at the buffet. And I don't understand how they didn't see that, because it was obvious since day one. I think they had a lot of hopium for Game Pass, and it didn't come out.
Yeah,
with the subscriptions.
Yeah, what do you think, Forte or J-Dub?
I'll be honest. I think again, it was supposed to be a loss leader where, hey, we don't have any games ready. We got to give these guys something. We'll throw all of our old games into, and all these games into Game Pass. Give it away dirt cheap. Give them free, free inside of cookies and milkshakes and everything else, right? So all these people signed up for this stuff with them knowing that they weren't going to have any games to release for about 2 to 3 years. So by the time they let them stack, they said, well, we'll let them stack for 3 years. By then, we'll actually have some games. Then we'll jack the price up, or we'll go back to our traditional way. And here we are right now. It's been 3 years later, after, since the generation started. And it's like, okay, they finally got some games, but they realized that model wasn't going to work to sustain it. So now they're going to remove it or modify it and go back to the traditional route, the $70 full take. And on top of that, they're going to, take all their games and throw them on PlayStation and Nintendo system. So I'll be honest, man. I feel like today, I feel like looking back that Xbox was just a failed project by a bunch of guys that, yeah, you could say they're gamers or not. That it doesn't matter. You can have a gamer that's fucking piss poor at business. That's why I never get when people say, "Oh yeah, Phil, he's a gamer." Yeah,
what does that mean?
Dude, he's fucking last
Dude was
place
playing Diablo while the world was
24
melting.
years. Like,
his
who
Xbox
cares?
community was melting. He was playing Diablo.
Yeah, you don't get credit for fucking failing. I don't know, but I just really feel like it was just Microsoft money had a division that they didn't know what to do with. They weren't good with. And gamers were very fickle. You gotta bring the heat for us to pay attention to you. And they just, all these years, they just never brought the heat after the Xbox 360 generation. Xbox 360, I'll give them that. I actually said they won it, even though they didn't win it in
Xbox
sales.
Arcade, 1 versus 100.
They did so much well.
Cool things.
And none of that carried over to the Xbox One generation. All they had to do was go back to what they were doing then. But I think, again, the business side of Microsoft, they're not in it. And Jez, it's sad, but I got Jez Corden a recording in my phone where he spoke about this to Rand. He said he just has a feeling that that Xbox is ran by suits that are in gaming, not because of the artistry and the love of games and the craft of making a game and for it to be good. They're in it for the business side of
advertisements.
Money out of it.
Did you heard Tim Stewart? He said this is the advertisements, how they could add ads to game, like add ads on a broader spectrum. Yeah.
So
more eyes in front of it.
We're just seeing 24 years, a culmination of not really knowing what to do with it. And shareholders never really cared for Xbox because they could take that money and put elsewhere and make even bigger and better investments that are more solid. But again, it goes back to what Bill Gates wanted. He wanted
Microsoft product in every home in the gaming, and and it's ran its course. I think Xbox just ran its course.
Yeah.
And when they
Yeah.
had the Game Pass too, like they didn't have a cadence of releases at all. Like, you can't go with a subscription service. If everybody subscribed to Game Pass for their first party content, you cannot have a year like 2020. You can't have a year like 2022 when you have people subscriptions. Like, you will cancel a subscription if there's no content coming. You bought it for first party. And they never were very clear. They delayed a lot of games. They never were very clear on when games were coming out, and
they remove games.
they removed games. So like they did not do a lot of very good business sense in running a subscription. Sort of like how the Halo team does a horrible job with the Battle Pass. It's like they didn't know how to do leveling up and Battle Pass, and that whole monetization on Halo 3, Halo Infinite is a disaster. It's like, dude, there's all these models that work, like Fortnite, Apex Legends. How do you not know? And you did it yourself in Halo, how to level up by skill-based leveling up, and they never fully implemented it. And they look like they have no clue how to run a battle pass. And it looks like Microsoft started a subscription service and never knew how to run one. Like, look how Sony has January you're playing this, February you're playing this, March you're playing this. That's what you need to do when you have a subscription, because so your subscribers stay subscribed to get what's next.
Yep.
And
You know what though, Jez, real quick, man. The thing that I'm wondering too, as you guys are discussing Game Pass, and I'm thinking, could they have underestimated or overestimated the value proposition of Game Pass? Meaning, like, do they think that it was so great that people will just glom to it, right? And do they not take into account? I find this hard that they wouldn't, but do they not take into account the fact that, and this is something Strauss Zelnick said, and they have Strauss Zelnick has data on this. He said that gamers, on average, buy maybe 2-3 titles a year, and they'll spend about 35 to 50 hours in each of those titles. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
And so do they think that, like, there's this tremendous value proposition here, and people are just going to glom to it? It's going to be like Netflix. The problem is that television entertainment it's different than interactive entertainment. Much different.
Mm-hmm.
In the way you consume
We don't binge
it.
game.
Yeah,
we don't binge game.
No.
You don't play
That's
8
why
games in one night.
That's why I hate when people compare movies to music to games. Games is a different beast by itself.
It's an
It just
investment.
really is. Just
It's a
because
time
I'm playing
investment.
just because I'm playing one game today, don't mean I'm going to be playing that game tomorrow. It just we're very fickle, and then there's other gamers that, I mean, look at BRAP. His most played game is Baldur's Gate 3. He's been playing that for fucking
There you
3,
go.
4, 5 months, right?
J-Dub,
And he's
how many
Subscription
months?
free.
hundreds of hours in there.
J-Dub, you want to know when I started playing that game? You actually know? Like, I started playing that game in July. And
He
I
romanced everybody.
See,
and I put in 400. I put in about
All the-
400 hours.
see,
Jesus.
400 hours, and guess
There
what?
you go.
That's
No subscription
One
400
fee.
game, no subscription.
Think about it.
70
That's
bucks.
400
No,
hours.
I paid 60. On PC.
$60. There you go. Look how
And then
many
I bought
hours
it
you
for
got.
and then I bought it for 70 on PlayStation.
You didn't have to, but like, you look how many
There-
hours you got out of your $60. That's
There-
a wise investment.
That's
J-Dub,
That's 400
Jez, that's more.
hours of
Real quick, Jez, that's more hours than I got off Game Pass.
I know. That's crazy, right?
That's basically what I was going to say. That's,
Yeah, I'm sorry, go
that's
ahead, Jay.
400 hours that you didn't spend playing Xbox and Game Pass.
Yeah, because you can't play 2 games at once. Yeah.
Well, and they offer you all of these games. Most of the games are games that you wouldn't buy, and,
Yep.
and that's the point,
That's a
right? The
big
thing
point.
that it becomes a, let me just try this since it's free. I just want to try it and see if it's good. And the crazy thing about it, I go to Game Pass, I see what they have, I'll try it, and if it's good, then I'll go and buy it on my PlayStation. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's what it is. And also too, I know Brett talks about this too. Like the time, like your tolerability of a game. Like if you get it, you download it and play it, and you don't like something a certain way, you're like, oh, okay, I'm done with this. But if you went out and bought it or invested in reviews and thinking about if you might want to get it, you might be more tolerable to pump through that game than whether you get it in a service. Like you just like, oh, I'm gonna. You're easily to dismiss something that you didn't purchase outright. on things, and that's another problem too with the Game Pass model. It's like you try them out, and if you like them, you'll buy them because you'll be invested in it. Because they may leave to the service. That's another thing. They may leave the service.
Yeah, you know what's interesting too is Matt Piscatella has put out some data recently that shows that just subscription services in general across the industry have been stagnant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean,
so
what does that tell us, though? You know, like what does it tell us about what consumers want?
Well, I know what I think. I think consumers are speaking now in that they want quality content. I think that's the thing. I think we have so much minutia thrown at us between short videos, YouTube, everything, and just all this noise that there's so much stuff. It's like, well, where's the good stuff? And I think people want to get what they pay for. So like going to the movies, getting that experience, I'm going to pay for that experience. But, you know, these subscriptions, I'm paying for this stuff, but I'm not using it because it becomes so... There's just so much stuff that a lot of people don't want to take the time to find something to watch. I remember I was doing my wife. We watch tonight. I don't know. We have 5 apps with all these subscriptions, and we're just like, I'm going through movies, like more movies than we used to look at Blockbuster, and figure out what you're gonna rent. Like we're just like looking through thousands of movies, and like I don't know what you want to watch. We want that, and we wound up just watching like SNL clips or something like that. Like this is the problem with. It's just so much stuff that people, I think, are not using these services as much as they pay. Plus, like we said before with COVID, it artificially increased all these subscriptions, and it made them get the thinking this is. And guess what happened? And I remember when HBO Max was putting like Mortal Kombat, all the big movies in the subscriptions, and they're like, everybody's like, "See, we told you day and date is gonna be there." And as soon as COVID stopped, they said, "Get your ass back into the movie theaters."
Well, there's guys out there now talking about Helldivers 2, talking about, see, it's #1 on Steam. They're gonna do it day and date because look, this proves it that it's like, dude, like stop it. Sony's not going to do that and end up in the same position that fucking Microsoft
exactly.
is in.
As soon as you saw what Microsoft's in right now, Sony's like, yeah, let's not have that happen to us, everybody.
Exactly.
You know, that's what Nintendo's like, yeah, nope.
Yeah, but even Herman Hulse, he said, hey, we got games that's our live service games and stuff like that needs a large space. We're creating those games specifically for that. And that's fine. They're making games specifically for that.
Exactly.
It's not like they're taking something from, PlayStation gamers and giving it somewhere else. No, they created this game that needs, and I'll agree. I believe all multiplayer games, or live service games, need to be on PC.
Well, we'll
potentially elsewhere. I mean,
we'll see how that goes because sometimes it usually. Like we'll see how, because sometimes they use the aimbots and all that other stuff.
Yeah, but I know, but you see, that's another thing. Most PlayStation guys I know, all they say is, "I'm turning crossplay off."
Yeah.
So it's like, it's like, yeah, I know the crossplay capability is there, but all the dudes I know on PlayStation, they don't want to play with those cheaters. And I mean,
sometimes they do. Like I remember they were doing that in Sea of Thieves. They still never turned it off in Sea of Thieves. I remember. Summit or whatever that guy's name was, that was like doing all the weird quick, like he was doing those quick keys or whatever like that in the game. And
I never understand why play games if you're gonna cheat. Why cheat? Like you're not getting paid any money. This is your hobby. You're not getting paid any money or anything.
Yeah. We cheating is. It goes back, for those who don't know, I was an Xbox Live beta tester. It goes back to the OG Xbox days. People wall hacking.
Got the free headset.
Oh, yeah. Remember that headset?
Dude, yeah. A McDonald's headset it was.
Yeah, it broke so many. It does look like it broke so many damn times on me. I used to have to duct tape it together.
Yes. When you pull it off and snap it. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, remember it would just snap? It was like, I was like, come on.
And then it had that. Oh, yeah. That was the big thing because that came in the Xbox Live starter kit.
Yeah, I remember getting the Xbox Live beta starter kit. It was you got the T-shirt, you got the disc with
the T-shirt, dude.
With Revolt and NFL Fever.
Yes, NFL Fever was great. That was awesome. That J-Dub, do you remember that too? Like that XNL, that league that they had where you could do like online
the
league,
sports league,
sports league.
XSN.
Yeah.
That was
Dude,
awesome.
That was so awesome. I remember I was in the football one. Like, it was crazy back then. Like, doing an online football league where you would play your game, and then like the person would like register your win or loss or something like that in your franchise. It was all done online.
You would see like leaderboards.
Yeah, it was crazy.
So let me ask you guys something, and I probably know the answer to this. Was Xbox better back then than it is today?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That's why when I see people say, "Oh, Xbox is great today," I'm like, what rock did you crawl out of?
Because like I forgot about the XSN thing, like because they were getting a lot of support from EA at the time.
They weren't. EA wasn't going online.
No, here comes Ed Freeze. Ed Freeze comes out on stage and says, "Hey, we got Lynx. Remember Lynx Golf?"
Yeah, and they had Lynx Golf. I played a shit ton of
Golf
Lynx
was so
Golf.
good.
Oh my god, I was working at Circuit City at the time, and like we had like 5 people after, and we used to have like Lynx tournaments. Dude, we played tons of Lynx Golf. That was great. Oh my god. Yeah, and then they had NFL Fever. They had the NFL. Yep. They had I think they had I don't know if they had the basketball. I don't know if they had hockey. I think they have.
No, they had.
Did they have hockey?
They had
I don't think
basketball.
They had
basketball. Inside Drive.
Inside Drive.
Inside Drive. That's right. Yeah.
NFL Fever and MLB something else.
Oh yeah, because ML. Yeah, they had a whole sports league.
See, that's the thing. Like when I think about them back in the days, and this was my frustration, and when people would like listen to the show and be like, "Oh, Brap, you're just a pony. You hate Xbox." It's like, no, it's like I actually remember when Xbox used to talk about their console strategy, talk about power, talk about features, but create software to show off those features.
Mm-hmm.
Like, remember, like the OG Xbox was the most powerful console at the time. What did they do? It had an internal hard drive. They gave you Halo. They gave you the opportunity to customize soundtracks,
music, CD to it. Yeah, your music. Yeah, because you could actually do that in Raw, which was like the wrestling game that they had The Rock come out with the first game. You could rip music and use it as entrance music for your custom characters in the wrestling game.
Yeah,
that they had.
Yeah,
we're using the hard drive.
Yeah, I remember San Andreas, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. You could rip your custom soundtrack to that game, and they took.
Did you have the Wi-Fi, the bridge? The Wi-Fi bridge.
I had that, but that thing did not work well for me.
Dude, that thing was horrible. Oh my god, I had it. Yeah, that Wi-Fi bridge.
I tried playing Halo, and I was like getting so much lag. It was just terrible. Yeah, but I mean, again, these are things they used to do. I mean, they used to create software that showed off the hardware, and it's like this generation came, and they hyped the Series X, and then like, where was the software?
Exactly, to support it. Even like when they launched Xbox Live and they came up with DLC and and even Xbox Live, like that whole marketplace was them making deals to fill the marketplace up for indie games. They had a whole Braid they brought in there. I remember when they put the Ninja Turtle game in there. Like it was like a classic arcade. And the best thing I thought was awesome was, remember when they used the avatars and they had the virtual arcade with all your games in it, and then you could walk around the arcade and like boot up games from. Yep, I was like, that was awesome.
Yeah,
that's
versus 100. I used to play that too.
That's when they innovated before their how can you see it? Their overlord corporate side kind of took over. And
Microsoft took over. Yeah, that's what happened. They said, they made them do the little sidebar. And I said this on my show earlier today. I was like, it seems like they said, hey, yeah, go do that, you crazy kids. Go make a console. And then Ed Freeze and Jay Al, they made something. And then they built on it. Then they had Robbie Bakken behind it and Peter Moore. And then it started getting traction. And then after that, they were like, after that 360, when it was getting popular at 360, they're like, okay, yeah, we'll take it from here. Like, thanks. And Big Daddy Microsoft took it over and started throwing TV and Kinect and all that other stuff in it.
Yeah, it just sometimes I think they're a little bit too early to the game. I know a lot of people give them credit for innovation, but sometimes like even with you talk about like the Kinect. Like I actually like the Kinect.
I beta tested it. So you got beta test. I beta tested the Kinect.
Oh wow, yeah, I
had it like the year before, or 6 months before it released, and they let me keep it.
That's awesome. Because remember, like I like the Xbox On and being able to, do all
Xbox
these
Snap, Xbox Record
Xbox
that.
Snap, like all this stuff, and it was, but
That was good.
I don't think the market was ready for it. And fast forward, 12, 11 years later, now we have Alexa in like every room in my house almost, and I got this big
And video
Amazon,
calls,
yeah,
and all this stuff. Video calls,
Yeah.
like they never, because even that, like I thought that and that was the biggest problem I thought with. Well, see, they were very ambitious with the beginning of Xbox One, but they had such bad messaging because they even had Upload Studio where it was almost like YouTube before YouTube and social media really were like what it is today. I remember that's why I found Kid Smooth. Like he would do videos with his Kinect, like on Upload Studio. And it was just this creators area to kind of create content and make videos. They had shows on there. They had it was a whole like social media platform built into the Xbox, and they just shut it down. And it was just they were good ideas, but that's the problem with Microsoft though. They never followed through with their ideas. Look at HoloLens. They went 1 and 2, and look at Apple now, mocking the hell out of that $5,000 screen. When HoloLens, they couldn't even get it out the door.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know, man. It's
They just abandoned shit too early. Same thing with Mixer. Like Mixer was a great platform. They shut it down
after getting
because
Ninja.
they didn't after they spent the money on Ninja and Shroud. They're like 6 months. Like it's all right. We're done.
Yeah.
They just don't. They don't have the patience. They want that instant win. They want that set it and forget it. And that's unfortunate. They don't get a good reputation, and they don't get the support. That's why I was saying, like with Tim Dog and you guys on the show, I was like, they're not good getting developer support because devs and people seeing Microsoft screw them so much with just not following through with stuff that they just not really quick to jump on board because they figured they'll cancel it.
I could tell you one of the frustrations, and this actually, and I think back to my conversations when I interviewed at ZeniMax. And I remember this was right before the acquisition was getting ready to be finalized, and I asked management there, like, how do you what's going to be the impact of culture of Microsoft acquiring you, because there's always some kind of culture impact. And they said, well, we're going to operate as is. Microsoft's a great partner. Our culture is not going to be impacted. And I thought to myself, okay, that sounds good, but it's probably not true. And then I think about the emails from Pete Hines, where he voiced his frustration about, hey, wait a minute, like, we're not releasing our games, like our games are exclusive, but ABKs won't be. Like, what's up with that? And maybe someone should have briefed Todd. Todd's getting ready to speak to the media. You guys got to, yeah. So there's there was that, and I think about that conversation I had when I interviewed there. It's like this is the part that I've said to people. People were all pom-pomming this merger acquisition and like, oh, it's going to be great for consumers, it's going to be great for the developers, and it's like, have you guys been through it, Ebony? Like the company that acquires usually doesn't they pretty much like
you become them.
Yeah, you become them. Exactly.
Yeah,
Thank you.
You become them.
Yeah. And with
I
that,
know I've been through them.
They're dueling cultures and integrations. One of the hardest things to do, and I think we're going to see, I think, some challenges.
They pretend that you're like, oh yeah, well, one now we're both thing. You do a year of that, and then the next year it's like, yeah, now you're using all our stuff. Now you're us. Now, thank you very much. Drop that out of your name. We're no longer them anymore. But like leading up to it, it's like, oh, this will be smooth because they don't want a massive turnover for the stock, and then then they come together and it's like, oh, we value your values, our values, we're all together now. And then after a year goes by and everybody's kind of settled, then they go, okay, now you're us now. Thank you very much. Whatever you used to do, you don't do anymore. You do what we say. And there's your integration. So now Microsoft goes in and goes, I'm the captain now. It's nice knowing you. And that's what that FTC thing came up, right? Because they were saying that and I thought the same thing. We thought that they were going to work as separate arms. Like ZeniMax was going to be its own arm. Blizzard would publish Bethesda will publish themselves, and they made Booty oversee it, which is not technically making them run independently. And that's what the FTC is coming back and saying that you laid off all these people. You said they were going to run kind of independently under the umbrella of Microsoft. Instead, they got Booty clapping over there.
Well, I heard Kotick was supposed to take care of all those things, and that didn't go down. He just
Kotick
walked.
cashed out, man.
Yeah, he's like, I'm out. I'm not firing anyway.
He's
That's,
out.
that's for you guys to handle.
Yeah, he cashed out.
Speaking of Lulu, by the way, this is
Lulu. I don't know my
reverb.
Where's my reverb?
And I said this like J-Dub, you and I talked about this, like this parasocial relationship people have with. Oh, by the way, I gotta address JD Gamer here. No, JD, you're not gonna come here, obfuscate, use bad math, and then try to tell me that I don't understand what it means. No, I've given you plenty of opportunities to lay out your specific math problem here. And you just you can't cite any specific number or line items. Like you don't even know how accounting works. Like just stop. I know J-Dub's never mind. I'm not gonna say that, but yeah, just stop, man. Like if you want to have a rational conversation, you can have one. But if you're gonna troll here and just say like it's the math, but you can't cite any numbers or specific line items to how you arrive to your mathematical equation, that's not math. That's just like a wet fart. So just stop. I just don't have tolerance for that kind of stuff. I'm sorry. But yeah, I'm sorry, Jez and J-Dub. But
Yeah, it's fine.
yeah, no, I guess. But
Where's Lulu?
The Lulu thing, the whole parasocial thing. Like again, it's really weird.
I saw you like that video, man. I know about that video. We'll probably don't want to talk about that. What Colin Moriarty was going on.
Yeah, like Colin's
dude, that was wild.
Colin's like
that's so true.
Yeah, it's true. It's like you guys don't understand the relationship between like yourself and these corporations. Like these corporations, if they give you access, there's a reason for that. Understand that they're like Colin said, they're basically using you. So understand that. Like they're not trying to be your friend. They don't care about you. You know, and this idea that these corporations care about you and they're your buddies, no, they're just manipulating you to do free PR
message.
marketing. Yeah, like what I just and here we are. People are flipping out. You know, they're upset. Look, and I understand people being upset. Like, I get that. But people doxing first party developers at Microsoft first party studios, people, sending threats to Phil Spencer. That's a little bit over the top.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, there's always crazy people.
People loving Lulu Messerby. She cashed out.
Lulu.
She is
all because she sold out Jim Ryan, called him lying.
Yeah.
She had her memes and stuff. Man, what a joke.
Yeah, I mean she played the Xbox community like a fiddle, and they ate her up. Call her the queen. Like, what are we doing here? Like a queen?
Yo,
like what?
And she took pictures and. Think about it. She took pictures with Sarah Bond and they're like, oh, the queens, like they were gonna like lead Xbox and stuff, and she left like the next week.
Yeah, she played
all that Blizzard party.
She plays you guys like a fiddle, and it's just
fiddle.
Yeah,
that other guy, Florian's the other one. He's the oh my god, he's another one. He changed his whole name to like Gaming with Florian or something like that. I'm like, these clowns, dude.
Yeah, he was clearly
the lawyer
there. Yeah, there was some
clown.
Influence.
Oh god,
it's just really weird. I just don't understand it, and
Ryan says he respects that though, dude. Yeah, you gotta respect the game. Don't hate the way. Don't hate the play. I guess exploit. Yeah, they know how to play it, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, don't hate the game, hate the what is it? Don't hate the player, hate the game.
I don't know what is it, something like that.
But
Lulu did her thing, man.
Yeah, but anyhow, that
thing. But that's what happens when you said before. That's what happens when it's not about the games and it became about and Phil played into it too. He's like the Xbox community, the community. No, Phil, the goddamn games, not the community. The community comes together over the games, not because of you. You're not Taylor Swift. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, Phil's at the game. Phil's at the game.
Hey, BRAP, I gotta run out, man.
Yeah, no, J-Dub. I know I kept you late, man. I appreciate it, J-Dub.
Yeah, there we go.
Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you in a bit.
Hey, see you, Joe.
Right, yeah, we're gonna go wrap up there too. But thank you, J-Dub. But yeah, that's the problem, Jez. I mean, it should always be about the game, and it really became. It reminded me. There's certain elements of the Xbox community that are very cult-like. It is like a cult.
Mm-hmm.
They will. There's
they tattooed them at FanFest. I never saw tattoos. So they're freaking like stamping these people at that FanFest.
Oh Jesus! But
I got the videos.
but
There is.
but yeah, I mean, it's like it's
Phil's mocking them.
It's like a cult where it's like you can't. There's no room for questioning or critical inquiry. There's nothing. Like, they just don't allow you to do it. And that not all the not. I want to make it clear. Not everyone that I've interacted with that's more pro Xbox is like that. But there's a contingent within the community that's very much like that. It kind of reminds me of high school a little bit. Like
oh yeah,
stuff.
and it built, and I could see where it came from, because like a lot of people met online before this kind of Twitter and all that stuff really kicked off, and like chat rooms and stuff, because people kind of met people through Xbox Live, and that kind of branched out from there. So I could see where that would be more instilled in Xbox, because of the party chat, and people kind of did that, where PlayStation didn't have a real good online infrastructure. But the OG one was Xbox Live. So I could see where people met and they kind of did like that. But I thought they would be wiser to realize, guys, when we're not coming together and it's about the games that they're offering, that we celebrate this brand, and it's just like the executive team, like it's the executive team, like and it really started when Phil Spencer came in, because nobody was crowding around Don Matrick. And even Peter Moore.
Yeah, nobody was. Yeah.
And even Peter Moore, like nobody was like, oh my God, Peter said this. It was only when Phil came in, he played the politician role, and he was coming in as the savior of Xbox. And people would not move that statement that he saved Xbox, and that they were going to cancel Xbox, and Phil saved it. And they thanked him for saving Xbox, and that's why he got this immunity pass for 10 years of just falling upward. They're just failing, taking it on the chin, saying, I'm sorry. How do you let this management stuff go? Like, he said he was next to 343 playing Halo. I got the video of him talking to iJustine in the basement. He talks to her and her sister, and he's telling them about how he played Halo all the time. And he's like, oh, I'm over there, Bonnie, and I'm playing 343. How do you let that game be shown like that then? Like, where were you? Like, the management is the issue, but he gets a pass.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
and he wins awards. That's right, Ryan. Yes, he wins all these awards. Meanwhile, this game.
Yeah,
insane, dude.
Yeah, I'm not getting in Dr. Martin. I'm not getting in a room with JD Gamer. He's still going at it. He's saying if you discount something, anything having an increase in revenue, no matter how small the increase means, you.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, the problem is, JD. In order to understand the increase, you'd have to understand what the year-over-year is, and you don't have that information. So, again, you don't know what you're talking about. I'd be more than happy to get David Falke on, who's a financial analyst, and he could give you a crash course on this.
You got to get True Virgil. Virgil's still here. Oh my goodness, True Virgil. True Virgil. Now that I want to let you know, I did timestamp the favorite on my video today for you, so you could watch it. It's called the when we talked about the Black Nuts Cloud.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, I got to get going. I got to end the show here, Jez. It's we're approaching the midnight hour. The midnight hour here.
Midnight hours.
Yeah, look, I want to give a big shout out to J-Dub and Mooch and Gaming Forte and Jez, the real Jez, for joining us this evening. Really appreciate it, gentlemen. And everyone in the live chat, thank you so much for hanging out with us this evening for the last 3 hours or so. I appreciate your support. Oh my God, this guy's still going at it. Oh, geez. See, this is an individual who's part of the Xbox community. This is the problem I have with certain elements of the Xbox community. It's that. It's that it's not the conversation.
That's right. You got to get a soundboard and put some music.
Yeah, the conversation is never grounded in for some folks in reality.
Hey, man, it's
and they just
Xbox
want to obfuscate.
This is what you say is like Xbox is doing great. It's all a ruse. That's why they're having these conversations now, because Xbox is fine. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
Yeah, and it's just like, it's
hold the line. True Virgil says. See, True Virgil says he's hold the line. He's holding the line.
Yeah, and Ryan is right. He just gaslighting. But I will say this, JD, I do appreciate taking your money though, so thank you for that.
Shit.
And on that note, I'll also put you in timeout and take your money. So
shit, he stomped them out.
Yeah, because I look honestly, I'm not dealing with that. Like I just don't have I just don't have tolerance for that. Like if you want to. If you want to have if you want to have a conversation, but when you start you start being disingenuous and saying you know math, but then like your math doesn't check out, and saying no, you don't understand. That's just he's just gaslighting, and we're not doing that. Like
Trying to derail you.
Yeah, I try to give him the benefit of the doubt and try to have a conversation, but he just he's an example of the problem with the discourse in gaming, and I'll just leave it at that. Like it should never be like that. Like here's the part that kills me. We all love video games. Like why do certain gamers gaslight one another when they like the same thing? I don't get it.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, Jez. That was a little bit impromptu rant, but Jez, actually, go ahead. Let everyone know where they can find you as well.
Oh yeah, hey, it's right there. The Gaming Grindhouse. Do the show on Monday nights. I did like 3 shows this week, but it's been a wild week. Check me out at the Gaming Grindhouse. Jez7780 GMG grinds my gears over on YouTube and on Twitter.
All right, awesome.
Thanks, everybody.
Please, check Jez out.
And hit that like button too.
Yeah, please smash that like button. Appreciate
BRAP,
the support.
He's been on podcasts all day too. I know it's been like we've been talking all friggin' week. Like you were on Mooch. Mooch had a show on Monday, and then it was like the Twitter Spaces, like our shows. Like it's been crazy.
Tim Spaces is still going.
Major Nelson. Apparently, Major Nelson went into it and was like talking about where he was. That's what I see Tim tweeting.
Oh, I gotta.
He got Major Nelson in his space, and I was like, wow. Because Major Nelson's been tweeting a lot too. Like,
what did Major Nelson say?
I don't know. I didn't hear. I just saw the tweet that he said we got Major Nelson in the space and just like checking in on him. He didn't talk about the thing. He's not talking about anything.
He's not talking about anything.
No, because I even saw Major Nelson's tweet and he was just like, "Yeah, hey, just don't." Well, he don't know anything, but he's just like, "Hey, just wait till they announce whatever they're gonna announce." I still think it's gonna be super high level. I think a lot of this leak stuff is probably the plan, but they're gonna kind of roll it out slowly. But the fact that they're even talking about it, I think should just put the writing on the wall for a lot of people.
Yeah, I just think, like we said earlier, I just think they hit a point where it's like, we're not doing this anymore. We need to course correct, and that's not uncommon. I mean, that's just when you have a business unit that isn't performing well. Yeah, you're going to see that. I mean,
exactly.
Yeah, it's just
and it's the weirdest thing is that they're having a business meeting on like February, in the middle of February, because it's not even like, I know they moved it up, but it's just a weird time.
Is it Monday, right? The day after the Super Bowl?
That's what they're saying, Monday. That's what people are saying is Monday. But he never announced when it is.
They're going to do this shit bright and early after the Super Bowl.
Hell yeah. Smart move, right? Why would they do it now when there's nothing going on? Do it the day after the Super Bowl. Yeah. Nobody be paying attention. Like all the business people will probably be counting their Vegas bets.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And we'll talk about the direction of Xbox. It's like, yeah, who cares about that? Super Bowl just ended.
Yeah. All right, Jess.
Come on, move on their part. Yeah, no problem, man.
Well, Jess, thank you for coming through. And everyone, please hit that like button. If you haven't done so, if you're new, subscribe, hit the bell notification so you are alerted when we go live. Thank you all for the support. And I used to say this quite a bit years ago, but look, have fun playing video games because ultimately that's what it's all about. It's about having fun. So we will catch you next time. Thank you.
Yep.